Welcome in, everyone, to episode 158 of the Boutcast podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Peng, and I'm joined by our new co-host here. We got PB Steve, we got Hurricane Kaz, who both we had on as guests for our recent episodes, which strategic on
Audition.
My end. Yeah, a little audition.
Little
And
breadcrumbs.
then we have the fourth member who hasn't been on the podcast yet, but I'm sure anyone listening has heard his name quite a few times. T. Wastel, aka Tristen. Not to be confused with Twastel, which refers to T. Wastel, but
That's a different trainer.
yeah.
The real Twastel.
But everyone, welcome in. We already know Steve and Kaz, but maybe a little brief intro for Tristen here. Introduce yourself, besides just the person that's commenting on every episode.
Yeah, so I've been listening to the podcast, I think basically since Speedy joined. So it's pretty cool to have the opportunity to be on the podcast now. I've really enjoyed what you guys have done with it. But yeah, about myself, I'm from the Seattle area. I got into Pokemon when I was a kid. I remember like some of my friends in like elementary school played like Gold and Silver. I remember like watching them play, but my first main series game was Emerald. So big Hoenn fan. And then I played that, and I played like Leaf Green, and then I kind of dropped off Pokemon for a while until Go came out. I started Go like maybe a week after it launched, and I've played since day one. I was actually kind of hesitant about PvP at first when it first came out, especially like Great and Ultra Leagues. I was like, this is stupid. Why would I spend all this Stardust on these like little Pokemon that I can't even use in raids? This is such a waste. Like early on, just like messed around with, some of my like friends from California, just doing some like different battles, mostly single moved mons. I remember like we found out that like Dragon Breath was busted, so like a lot of us would use like single moved like Latios and stuff because we were just messing around with things. And then got into Sylph right at the start. I played in a Boulder Cup, but it didn't actually count on my card because we had 7 people and we thought it was still ranked because it still gave us 3 rounds, but wasn't enough. So not that I think you can see Sylph cards anymore, because I think I heard that their website isn't up anymore. But I did Sylph from basically day one. Got pretty involved with Go Stadium there for a while. Had a lot of fun running like the Go team up and stuff like that. And then have had a lot of fun watching, following, and competing in the Play Pokemon Championship Series. And I don't know. I guess my claim to fame was winning that 7-round Tempest Cup back in Season 1, and peaked there and kind of been washed since, but...
Join the club.
Yeah.
True. Early peaker was Steve as well, so... I can't remember if I mentioned it on this podcast before, but I just remember back during 2019, early 2019, when Sylph just started out. We had Tempest Cup. What was that? Was the third cup, right? It wasn't the
third.
It wasn't
Yeah.
The second one was it wasn't Nightmare. It was something Twilight. But the third one was Tempest, and I remember seeing on like Reddit, people were posting like, "Hey, like come out to the Washington State area. We're hosting like a tournament, and the winner wins like a Nintendo Switch." And I just remember I messaged my local all the time, who's Palmer's Up. I was like, dude, like, what the heck? This is crazy. Like, this is like real esports. Like, there's actually like giving out like prizes. It's not like money, but it's still like worth a lot, right? Probably more than most cash prize tournaments. And I remember we were like we obviously weren't considering going, but we were just like following the tournaments. And I remember, I think I asked him, like, I was like, who won it? He's like, some guy called like Twastel or something, whatever. And it was like a 70-person tournament. And funny enough, flash forward a couple years, like 5 years, and we're at NAIC 2024, and Tiwasa was in the grand finals for another switch for a side events, owing to lose to Poly. But the game's really gone from the 70-person tournament back in 2019 to a 7-person side events for Switch.
Oh my god.
Of course, there are other stuff going on, but I just made a joke. I was like, wow, the game's really grown in 5 years.
Yeah, that tournament was pretty crazy though, for sure. We had a bunch of people come up from Portland for it. Valor Ash actually came in for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then J. Robin Stacks came from where is he from, like Colorado or something? He came over for that as well.
Oh, I didn't even know J. Robin Stacks like played Sylph back in the day. I thought he like got into PP after GPL.
He played like I think early season 1 and then maybe dropped off or something, but I'm pretty sure I remember seeing him there, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I had no expectations of winning a Switch. Like I was just going for fun. I was like, this is cool. It's a big tournament. It'll like be like 6 or 7 rounds, so it'll be good for my like weighted. Like I had no expectations, and then I swept the whole thing. But it was so nerve-wracking because between round 6 and 7, Sylph crashed because it had too much like server usage, because like there was 1 or 2 big South American tournaments happening at the same time as ours, and then obviously like everyone that wasn't there was like refreshing the brackets to see how it was going. So literally Sylph was down for like an hour between round 6 and 7. So like I had like the worst nerves because I'm like, okay, I'm 6-0, like I could do this, but like, oh my gosh, like so much pressure, just like waiting there for an hour, like is this ever gonna come back? Like I just want to play this.
I remember that
already.
happening. Yeah, I remember that happening a lot, like in the early Sylph days, like just the lack of anticipation for how much traffic was going to come careening through that site. Because there were quite a few tournaments that I was in as well, where it's like, oh, I guess we just hang out for a while.
Yeah, I think during the Orlando Mega, they were like tweeting out, be like, hey, like don't go to the Sylph site if like you're not playing this tournament. Like
not
you're
playing.
not there. Yeah, like
not
just
allowed
watch
to
the
know.
stream we have instead, right? They'll pull up the bracket from time to time, but there's no need. Yeah. Oh, the good times. Did you remember who you faced in that final round? Round 7.
I don't remember for sure. I know it was a local. I want to say it was. I think his name was like Juan Peru, maybe.
Juan Peru.
I think he had something like that. He was. You guys probably wouldn't have known him, but like he was a local. Like he was pretty good though, but like ran some like spicier stuff. So like I don't even remember now what his team was, but I just remember it was a little bit on the spicier / different side. So it was definitely a little tricky. I think I might have even, or did I play him in round 6? I can't remember, but I think I even like, yeah, I can't remember. Maybe I played him in round 6 actually, but I think I lost game 1 as well, and then I think it was like game 2, maybe game 2. I think I led my Magneton into his like Whiscash or Quag and managed to like barely claw it out by like 1 HP or something crazy.
Wow. Did you have the were you able to abuse the double legacy magnets?
Oh, I had the most inaccessible team for that. I had Trophius.
That's why you won.
I had Trophius. I had the double legacy Magneton, and I had the double legacy Lapras with Dragon Pulse.
Oh my gosh, that's the busted one too.
Because
it was legacy for Ice Shard and Ice Beam, right?
And
but Dragon Pulse was even harder to find. Yeah,
I actually had a harder time finding an Ice Beam one than a Dragon Pulse one, but I ultimately decided that I liked the Dragon Pulse better for the Mirror and the Lantern matchups.
Yeah.
I was like,
this was before Skull Bash Lapras for anyone curious, and before Elite TM. So like, if you didn't have the Legacy Pokemon for PP, like
you were just
you didn't have it.
Out of luck.
Yeah. You don't. If you look at my inbox, like you don't understand how many people I DM'd back in the day for stuff.
I lucked out because I had a buddy who played the game like really hardcore in like the first year of the game, and then stopped playing pretty much. So he kind of let me pillage his account. He was like, yeah, like you can trade for whatever you want. So
yeah,
I got like the Lapras, the Magneton from him. I think he traded me like 1 or 2 Shadow Claw Gengars back when that was Legacy, like for like raids and stuff. Like I definitely lucked out big time. The fact that he played so hard early on and then stopped playing, so he like didn't really care anymore, and he's like, yeah, like I'll trade you whatever you want.
Yeah, those things are a gold mine. I found every time I found someone like that, I was like a pirate. I just like pillaged the whole account. I was like, I already have a legacy Venomoth, but I'm gonna grab it so like my locals can't like get it and I don't have to face it. I know it was a fiend. It was not good. Sorry, there was a slight technical difficulty with our recording client, so it seems a little choppy here. We're back, but yeah, we're talking about Tristen abusing all his legacy stuff.
And my Tropius from Israel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, remember when like Tropius was so rare?
Yeah. There was like, a local of mine that went to Japan for the Safari Zone right before earlier that year, and they had a bunch.
Oh, so everyone was hitting them up like, please.
Well, I didn't know everyone was, but I'm sure a lot of people were hitting them up in the trade channel in our Discord. But I only told my friend Palmer's up, and then my other friend Abyssal Solace about it, because it's like these are the only people I'm going to let them know on this secret, Tropius gold mine.
They're in the inner circle.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't have Tropius, and they had to run a Bomb Snow with Razor Leaf, which just wasn't nearly as good. Because this was also
Powder Snow back then, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think Powder Snow actually didn't have Weather Ball either. It was like Razor Leaf,
Weather Ball
Outrage,
didn't exist.
Energy Ball or something.
Oh my god, Outrage!
Or maybe Blizzard. Geez. Yeah, it was like not nearly as good as Tropius.
Yeah.
When I was going into Tempest, really I actually didn't have... I didn't have a Tropius either, but it wasn't really... Like, I could have got one in the sense that, like, Zoe 2 Dots lives here. She is just the regional... back when it was, like, less important, when they weren't global Go Fests, there weren't these global regional spawns and stuff. She was sort of the regional distributor. So, like, she'd go to some Safari Zone and wherever, and she'd come back with 1 million, Relicanth or whatever, and so she'd just be giving out Relicanth and whatever. But
that's really nice of her.
Oh, she is the absolute best. She rocks. But at the time, I was kind of like, I don't know. I sort of like the vibe of I'm only running with the Pokemon that I can sort of get, in a sense of like, I was sort of thinking of like the anime, and sort of you go to these tournaments and whatever, and they've got the Pokemon from their region, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
So
obviously, it didn't help me not having a trophy.
Started.
His descent into spice is using only what he has.
Oh, downhill from there.
All I've got is like 20 Whalmers, so what can we do with this?
It's like, oh no, I just transferred half my box, I guess. I'm just going to use what I've got. I've got a Shadow, a Alolan Mark. We can try that.
But, right.
Worth a shot.
Yeah. Kaz, you were saying something earlier too?
Oh, I just remember getting my Tropius was kind of like, it's kind of like the definition of how miracles happen. Because I was playing Ralts Community Day with a friend of mine here in Atlanta. I was still relatively new to Atlanta, and this friend of mine that he had just moved up as well. So neither of us really knew where we were going, what we were doing. We went over to the nearest park in Atlanta, Piedmont Park. Very big. Lots of events happen there.
Yeah. And if you've seen the Avengers, that's
most of the Avengers takes place.
It's Central Park is actually just Piedmont Park in Atlanta. Yeah. Most of the parks and movies are actually filmed in Piedmont Park. Yeah.
So we were just wandering around, not really knowing where we were going. There was also a hot air balloon festival taking place, so it was like really extra whimsical. And we ran into 2 friends of his that also lived in the area that he hadn't seen in a while. So he introduced me to them when we were talking, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we play Pokemon Go too. We had no idea that anything was happening today." Everyone I play with is like pretty casual, so. We ended up talking about, regional Pokemon, and they were like, "Oh, we just went on a trip to Greece. I have an extra Tropius if you want it." And I was like,
Give me
like just want it, like just I can have it for nothing, for nothing, because I have nothing to give you.
Yeah.
And she traded with me, and it was like, it wasn't perfect like stats for PvP, but it was close. Like it was really good, and it got to just below 1500. I was like, this is the best day. This is literally the best day in Pokemon ever. And that, I mean, that's really fun. Like how getting early regionals like that was so much more of like a ridiculous either quest that you deliberately went on, or like just a random miracle. I have the same thing with Relicanth too, because when Relicanth, the only time that it came to the States was at the World Championships in DC.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were like, oh, it'll only be in research like at Pokestops like around this venue. And I wasn't in DC, and I had no money to go there, but I had a friend who lived there who played super casually, and I was like, please. Like,
you just gotta spin some stops.
I am begging you to just go to this location and spend some stops and get this one fish. And she did that, and we didn't actually see each other for like another, I don't know, like 3 months or something like that, when we were finally able to trade it. And I was like, and it was finally added to my Pokedex. I was like, I heard angels singing.
Wait, that's super clutch because COVID happened shortly after. So if you didn't meet up for that trade, it might have been kind of hard after that.
Exactly. It was absolutely wild how the circumstances aligned just right.
Yeah.
I was just talking to someone who I think had stacked a bunch of Relicanth and is down to like their last 1 or 2 on their stack and was trying to decide where to catch it. I think it was Dylan, yes, I want to say.
Okay.
I think if I remember correctly, he had like 1 or 2 left on his stack, and he was trying to decide
his
like,
stack.
Yeah, he just
that stack is 5 years old. That's crazy.
And it means he hasn't stacked like anything else since either.
Yeah,
but he's been like, I think if I remember correctly, it was Relicanth, and he's just been like catching it in cool places. And so he was like, where should I catch these last like 1 or 2? I think he was.
I think Hawaii, right?
I think he might have done one in New Orleans and was maybe saving the last one for Hawaii or something.
Yeah.
That's wild. I didn't even think your stack could like, I don't know. I guess it would take some meticulous management that I don't have the skill for.
Or just not accidentally putting things in your stack all the time. Like you've got to make sure that whenever you claim something,
I can't do that. I can't not do that.
I don't think I ever mentioned this before, but this was, I think it was either before PvP or shortly after PvP dropped, but before there wasn't a limit on your stack, right?
Yeah.
And then they set a limit to have like 100 Pokemon or something like that.
Yeah.
But in the process, like I think they accidentally removed people's stacks before the 100 thing, like before the date they said they were going to do it. And so a bunch of you complained. So I complained too because I was like, I would have started catching stuff in my stack if I knew, right? So I sent a support ticket. I never got a response back. But I think like everyone that submitted a support ticket that this impacted, or maybe they just like anyone that support ticket, they even double check. They just got a ton of stuff in their stack. And like I got stuff in my stack that I never even stacked before. It was like it was like bottomless. It was so weird. Like there was a shiny Aerodactyl in my stack. I didn't even have a shiny Aerodactyl, right? It's a shiny Dex entry. Like I never even saw it. If I saw it, I wouldn't have even put it in my stack. There were like Squirtle with sunglasses and stuff, like shades from like that old community.
Maybe you got someone else's stack. Maybe they like no, but maybe
we're gonna give everyone their stacks back except to different people.
Yeah, I bet they mixed it up and they accidentally gave you someone else's stack or something.
I guess that's my shiny Aerodactyl now. But
the wildest part about that was the people that
if that shiny Aerodactyl belongs to you, you are entitled to compensation.
Yeah.
No, the wildest that was the people that stacked their mythicals and then they got extra. Do you guys remember that?
You could stack a mythical? I didn't even know you could do that.
Somehow, I think you could stack mythicals. So some people, before they released like the second Mew research, some people already had like 2 Mews and 2 Celebies. because they stacked it and then they got another one.
I know about that too. So I didn't stack mine, right? Because when you got Mew and Celebi, it would just come on and you had to catch it, right? Like it didn't even show you Pokeballs. You just had like unlimited Pokeballs to throw at it. But yeah, I actually have that too. I don't know how many. What's the standard amount of Mew people should have? 2? With the
2,
shiny?
one regular, one shiny.
I've 3, and I
get one from the
additional Celebi too.
Thingo from Let's Go Eevee, or does that go straight into like Pokemon Home or whatever? It's not actually Go.
No, I don't think you get one.
You can't transfer anything into Go.
Yeah,
you can send things from Go to Home and then potentially to other games, but you can't send anything into Go.
Yeah. But no, I have a couple of those. Yeah. So what happened is we're just one extra of each. But what happened actually, it's like a whole separate like glitch or whatever. But it was during Spiritomb. It was during the Spiritomb like research during Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, I think, 2019 as well, or I think it's 2018. It was before PP dropped. But I was trying to quick catch my like Eevee encounter for the Spiritomb thing, whatever. And then after, or no, I think I'm trying to quick catch the Spiritomb or something. But then I think because if you try to quick catch like one of those like research encounters back then, like the special research thing, it created this weird glitch where all of a sudden my next encounter, I had another encounter. I was like, wait, there's something beyond the Spiritomb. So I click it and it's an Eevee. I was like, oh, that's weird. So I catch an Eevee, and then after that, there's another one, and it was a Mew again. And I already had a Mew and Celebi for like over a year at this point. I was super confused. It's like, this is kind of weird. It's like a weird glitch, right? And it was the same exact CP as my current Mew, so I just thought it was the same one. It was just glitching. And then I checked my inventory, and I was like, wait, I actually got another Mew. What's going on? And then I went back to the second encounter. There's another Eevee there. I catch that. And then after that, there's a Celebi. And I was super confused because like I'll pull this up right now, but I'll look at like if I look at the dates of my Mew, like they weren't like it wasn't like I caught 2 right away. Yeah, for real.
So they're like the same CP, same IVs?
No, they weren't the same IVs. It just happened to be the same CP though.
Oh, coincidence.
So I just
it wasn't like a
or maybe
Mew
it was close. Maybe it was close to it. Yeah.
Mew cloning over here. I mean, they tried that a few times, and it didn't go so well.
Yeah, so I caught my first one on April 5th, 2018. And then I caught my second one on October 23rd, 2018. It was during the Halloween events.
That's so weird.
Yeah. Oh, I actually have 4 Celebi. We must have got like
what?
I think
we have.
I think everyone has 2 regular ones.
No, everyone has 3 regular. I think
3.
3?
Okay. Well, no, 2 regular and a shiny. Right?
Yeah.
2 regular and a shiny.
Yeah.
Because one had a special move.
Yeah, that's right.
Magical Leaf?
Yeah. So same thing.
So I didn't catch my Celebes until the time you got the special move. So all of mine had the special move.
What? Why did you bank it for that long?
Because
I even used it for like a Sylph tournament once.
Oh well, I never wanted to run Celebi in a Sylph tournament. I didn't think it was good for anything, and
it was terrible. I ran it Force Cup. It was awful. I ran like 20 different teams for that cup, and that was a one and done one.
And I literally always have a problem with my Pokemon storage because I'm a hoarder and B too lazy to clean it out usually. So I'm always running like on like one space or no spaces or like a couple spaces half the time.
Oh my gosh.
So I was just like, I don't want these Celebes taking up extra space. I don't need them. I'll just catch them whenever I need it, which literally
I don't think you could transfer them either, right?
No, you can't transfer them, so they just take up spots in your bag.
Wow.
And I was just like, I don't
that
need
box
this.
management's stressful. How do you catch stuff during events if you like need to clear space?
I mean, if it's like an event that I'm gonna actually like grind for, I'll spend the time to clear out space. But like sometimes I like don't clear out enough or don't have time or energy to clear out enough. So like, maybe I'll be going in with like 100, 150 spots and like I'll fill it up partway through, and then I'll just be like running the plus to auto catch and just like appraising and transferring as I go.
Yeah.
Not like the optimal grind route, and it definitely makes things more stressful, but sometimes I just don't have the
we
time.
We should do some Stardust bets on this with this new group of hosts. I think I'll get last at least.
Got better odds.
Yeah. Well, Anacor was like a guaranteed win in most situations too. So
hey, he got one. He got one.
He got
For
one.
Stardust
Yeah,
though.
No,
no,
Like,
not for Stardust.
bro,
Yeah.
I didn't play the event. It was raining and I had laundry
Oh
to
my
do.
gosh,
So
dude, he was just man is endless on excuses. Um, okay, well that's Tiwa Sell in the intro for our new host. Um, we're going to change things up a little bit. So we're still going to maintain the different segments we had from previous with both Speedy and Anacor, but I'm going to shift some things around. And we have some newer segments as well, like I mentioned in our last episode. So we're going to start with events. We're going to end with YouTube comments, and we'll have other stuff like kind of shifted around throughout that. But we'll cover everything. So if you left a YouTube comment, don't worry, we will get to it. But let's kick things off with some events before we talk about some of the meat of the stuff as well. There's special backgrounds, and they're debuting before Pokemon Go Fest 2024 Global, which is interesting. But they just said, they're talking about how like there's the catch card stuff essentially for the different backgrounds. So after they said that after catching certain Pokemon during certain events, they'll have a chance to receive a special background. It's a chance. It's not guaranteed. I know someone at the LA, what was the Sinnoh event or whatever, it was Dijon actually. He called a shiny Hundo Dialga Origin with no LA background, which is
Wait, is it a chance in LA? Or
It's
is that
still a
just like,
chance.
the
It's a chance
events.
everywhere.
It's
Oh,
always
Yeah,
a chance.
really?
it's a chance.
Oh,
Even
okay.
if you're,
It's
even
a
if you're
bummer
at the
because
physical
like
event.
you go to these
Oh.
events and you might get like a hundo or a shiny
Uh-huh.
or in Dijon's case a shundo, and like it's not even guaranteed to have the background.
It's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like,
in
it's so rare.
Osaka Go Fest, I caught my first ever shiny Rayquaza, which I like. It's an easy. I should have had it already, but I don't really raid, so it just happened to be where I got my first one. But I remote raided into it. I could see the gym, but I remote raided into it, and so I didn't get a background, and I assumed that was.
No, that was just unlucky. Even if in person, you would have still.
Yeah.
you would have had a
background.
chance of not getting it. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's
I did a bunch
unfortunate.
of raids and like
So
a decent chunk of my shinies didn't have the background.
yeah,
Kinda cool.
I think out of all the raids I did at New York Go Fest, I only got like one background the whole
Really?
time. Yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty wild. And now it looks like they're introducing like not just specific location-based backgrounds, but they're going to have like other special backgrounds.
It seems like
Yeah, it says new
event-based.
special backgrounds will appear during selecting game events, so
Yeah,
keep your eyes peeled.
Right. So it seems like it's like event based where like certain events will just have it.
Yeah.
So this is for what like all the ultra beasts, right? And it's some sort of like space or like
I don't think it's going to be like a actual like location card, like like how they have like stuff for like Madrid or something or New
Yeah,
York.
it's just going to be like special art.
Yeah.
If the thumbnail is to be believed.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen like a Lucky with the background? It's kind of cool. It like alternates between the background and then the Lucky.
That's what I have.
Like,
I have a
the, like,
lucky
lucky
functional
thing, and then it goes
Hundo
back.
Dialga. Yeah.
Origin or regular?
Origin, yeah. The good one. The good one. I have a shiny Palkia with the LA background that I have held off on trading because like I need to at least mirror that or get like a Dialga with the background instead. But I think the amount of people that actually have something they can mirror back is like pretty slim. So if you're out there, I'll work on that lucky friends so that we can make that trade happen. But I always tell people, I was like, do you have extra shiny Palkia Origin? I was like, no, I don't.
Well, the worst part with the Origins is you have to have the background and you have to have the move.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to become lucky with a local that's saving me a Palkia with the move since I got Dialga.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we can't elite TM those. It's like such a frustrating and silly.
I mean, I think I have a guess.
Yeah, if I had to guess, it would probably be because.
But wouldn't they make more money with elite TMs now? Because it's not like they're in raids still, right? I guess if they bring them back.
Well, because you only have to use an elite TM once. It's not like you have to keep buying them.
It's frustrating because I feel like they weren't like the most transparent on it, and I think some people might have picked a different version if they realized you couldn't elite TM it.
Yeah.
Because like I think people were like, oh well, either they like didn't read it and didn't realize that you couldn't, like they thought they would all come with the move, or that you could Elite TM later, or they just figured like, oh, maybe you can't Elite TM for like a couple weeks, and then like a month or two down the road you'll be able to. And I think a lot of people would have picked a different version if they had realized the way it was going to work.
Yeah, I mean, they're both good though, right? Because I thought Palkia was by far better, but then like after playing some Match League, I'm like, man, Dialga Origin's busted. Like it's like I don't know what the Sims don't show it to be that good in PvPoke, but like it's still like the best Pokemon in Master League, I think.
Yeah, I mean, regular Dialga used to always like sim and rank pretty low in Master League.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's the thing. Even though like Dialga Origin is better, like than the old Dialga, like I think the old Dialga is a little more viable. So like, if you had to pick between the two, you'd probably go with Palkia Origin and old Dialga between the other combination.
Yeah, that's what I did. So there's some special backgrounds during Pokemon Go Fest Global as well. So we'll see kind of how that goes. But special background for Ultra Beast and 5-star rays, including the Necrozma with successful catches. So, I mean, it's cool. I think it's like a nice little, difference thing, right? Like the different backgrounds are pretty dope in that respect. But speaking of Ultra Beast as well, let's talk more about specifically when they're spawning and stuff. So they're going to be coming. The Ultra Beast will be arriving, I guess, a light ahead. What does that even mean? A light ahead of Pokemon Go Fest? That's what the announcement says.
Do they mean a little
Ultra
or
Beast,
something?
a light.
Oh, yeah.
Ahead
it's a verb. A light. Like land.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever used that word before in my life.
I don't think a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Poorly thought.
I know if Anacor's still on the podcast, there's no way he would know what that means either. So I'm glad we have people here to help educate me. But they said inbound from Ultra Space, and this will be July 8th, Monday, to July 13th. So pretty much leading up to Global Go Fest, essentially. And I think shortly, right after the New York Go Fest, in-person Go Fest. But raids will be starting in 5-star raids, and this will be from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., so raid hour. So it's like I think we've had past events like this where it's essentially a raid hour like every single day. So Guzzlords on Monday, Nihiligos on Tuesday. Both can be shiny. Celesteela's on Wednesday, Kartana's on Kartana's on Wednesday as well. It just depends.
Yeah. They're regional. So Celesteela is in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah.
Kartana's in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah. So we all
many DMs.
You get Celesteela.
So Steve gets Celesteela.
Everyone hit up Steve for those raids because we all know he raids a lot.
I know. I get so many DMs, and every time I'm like, I'm probably doing no raids, man.
Are you in range of any gyms, or like you just never raid? You just
I'm not anymore. Like not from my house. I just don't really. I'm not that interested. I don't need these guys. If they were Great League eligible, then maybe I'd be bothering. But if they're going to be
often is good in Ultra League.
Yeah, I'm safe from Ultra League.
Steve, I'm just like Steve. I think I have like 4 Ultra League monsters.
You think Whalmer's spicy and Great League? Try using Ultra League. That's some ultimate spice right there.
I will. I've got the hundo ready to go. I just need the XLs.
Yeah, I don't even think it beats a Talonflame, but
actually, I did sort of recently. I did this stream with Fishy Legs, one of the Worlds qualifiers, and he was coaching me on Swellow in Great League. And so we did this battle where he sent me an Ultra League invite, and I jumped in with my big Whalmer, my Great League Swellow, and I think an Ultra League Melmetal. And let me tell you, I almost won.
Wait, you're using Ultra League Swellow as well?
No, it was Great League Swellow. You need a hundo Swellow, I think.
Wait, but you're playing him in Ultra League?
Yeah.
Wait.
Whalmer's just that good, man. Whalmer's just that good. I don't know what to tell you.
What was his team?
I cannot possibly remember.
Were they Ultra League? Were they Ultra League CP, or did he send it?
You're using 2 Great League Pokemon that are both not even that good in Great League. And then you also use Melmetal that's been like extinct out Ultra League for forever because it's been outclassed.
So you're
That's
saying
your one Ultra League
Melmetal just
Pokemon? That's
carried it
crazy.
I just happen to have, like, again, I don't have Ultra League Mons, but I happen to have like a rank 1 Ultra League Melmetal that like Say Faru made me build one time.
Yeah.
And it just
Melmetal was great
really
back
well.
in the day. Yeah.
But
But
I just got it was RPS, call it RPS. But he still won, obviously.
I don't know. I'd rather be the Talonflame into a Wilmer every time in that matchup, even if I get RPS.
Look, Skull takes a while.
Yeah.
He got all the debuffs, all one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
On the Thursday we have Stakataka on the Eastern Hemisphere, and then Bucephalon on the Western Hemisphere. I was for a second I was like, man, I don't even think I have Stakataka, and then I just realized because I'm not on the right hemisphere, so that's why I only have Bucephalon.
I have one Stakataka. I did one Pokegenie raid just to get the Dex entry when it was out. I was like, I don't think it's good for anything.
I managed to get one, and that's all you
I don't think
really
they're really
need.
relevant for much either, right?
No, neither one is very good. I just wanted the Dex entry just in case, because I didn't want to be in a case where I needed it and I had to spend a ton of Stardust to trade for one or something.
That's smart.
But, although I will say, I don't like looking at Bucephalon or whatever.
Couldn't have watched the podcast the last few weeks.
Yeah. Trust me. Yeah. I'm kind of sick of looking at
Anacor as a clown, or Coriander the Clown, much preferable than Bucephalon. So awful. I had literally wiped it from my mind, and then my friend invited me to the raids after it had shifted, and I was like, oh God, no, why?
Yeah, if you're not into clowns, that thing is definitely a little bit
weird,
horrifying
for sure.
I did more Bucephalon raids than I intended to, just because they kept popping up at the LA regional, and I was like, I'm here, what the heck?
I was like, might as well. And then on Friday we have Buzzwole in the Americas and Greenland. That's I guess Greenland's kind of attached to the Americas in some way. And then we have Pheromosa in Europe, Middle East, Africa, and India. And then we have Xurkitree in Asia Pacific, which I'm glad we got Buzzwole because I feel like it's probably the best out of all of them.
Some people want the Xurkitree because I guess it's a good raid attacker.
Yeah. Pheromosa I don't think is useful for much at all.
No. It's got the same
So Steve, you're inviting us all to Xurkitree raids, right?
Yeah, send the DMs through.
Yeah, so
it's going to be the reason why people fail the Primal Kyogre raids if you don't send them out.
It's all Steve's fault.
Yeah, I'll carry that weight.
But yeah, for me, I guess the Monday Guzzlord is probably the only one I'll really focus on. Getting some more Guzzlords to reroll for Great League will definitely be nice.
True.
Maybe Arrow can finally get his shiny so he can stop begging people to trade him.
Oh my gosh, that guy was weird. Look, I'm friends with Arrow, but that guy was annoying me because he was like, "Hey, Caleb, you got shiny Guzzlord you can trade me?" I was like, yeah. He's like, well, it's like, oh, can you trade it to me? I was like, you don't we're not even lucky friends. It's like, yeah, I know. I just need it for my Dex entry so that it's cheaper for me to trade it, get a shiny Guzzlord from low friendship with someone else. I was like, so I'm about to spend extra dust giving you a shiny Guzzlord for what? What am I getting out of this? Our friendship's way too high for us to get anything. We're not even lucky friends. I need to get something out of this. Right, this is my only shiny Guzzlord left. So. Yeah, hopefully Arrow gets one too, so he stops asking. I'm sure someone's probably done him the favor by now, but it was not going to be me, even though I had one. I was like, look, if you could trigger Lucky Friends with me, maybe I'll consider it, right? But otherwise,
but you also got to give me something good in return.
Yeah. You don't think I want a shiny Guzzlord for Great League? I do too, but I'm trying to save it for a mirror trade, maybe with low friendship. But yeah, everything could be shiny out of these things and rates outside Stakataka and Bucephalon because they're not released yet for shiny, but all the other ones could be. This is actually pretty cool too. We have time research available throughout the event, and if you finish it, you get a research encounter of all these Ultra Beasts. And you get another Buzzwole.
And the Guzzlord too.
And a guaranteed Guzzlord under 1500, yeah. I mean, Guzzlord is pretty easy to reroll under, but having the guarantee is nice too. So people like Tomahawk can run an all attack weighted Guzzlord if they want to.
Gotta get those Dragon Tail breakpoints, guys.
Yeah. I mean, out of all the breakpoint possibilities, like that's actually probably not a bad one to have, but I'm still not for it. But I don't know if Pheromosa can
Kartana
go under.
is under.
Kartana, yes, Kartana. That's a good one. Yeah.
I have a
Kartana.
great, it's
I tried
so
it.
squishy.
Dude, you can't even tank like a mud bomb from like a Quagsire. Like you can't everything one shot.
You can barely even tank a surf from like a lantern or a Jellicent.
Yeah,
it was like almost
you have to shield everything. I ran it though in one of the limited cups. I forgot, was it Fossil or something? But I ran
I think
I was definitely a little toxic with it.
I think I copied your team because I was like, I have a Kartana, I want to mess around.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't go full degen. I didn't go like Shadow Victory or something, but I went like Ferrothorn. Yeah, and
just
then
I
had
degen,
and then I just 2-shield the like Kartana at the end, which was harder to play than I thought it would be. But
but if you get the Night Slash boost, it's over.
Yeah. The Night Slash boost was nice. No, definitely.
Because that thing's made of paper, so just Razor Leaf
actually
boost is so gross.
Yeah. I heard it's a good raid attacker, but like I feel like it's kind of like Rampardos. Because every time I use Rampardos, everyone's like, "Oh, it's like the best rock raid counter." I'm like, this thing goes down to everything. Like one Brave Bird will like one shot it from a hoe. Like what's it? Like I got off.
It's like, a rock formed of like layers of paper.
Yeah, I got off like 3 smackdowns or rock dose or whatever, and that's it. I was like, how much damage is it really doing for me? I like maxed out the low 50 too. I don't know. I accidentally doubled as well.
It's the best raid attacker for all of 4 seconds. So
he's the best at what he does for X amount of time.
I use it every time I can, but I don't know if it's actually doing much for me.
I mean, I'm
sure it's great if you're like
you gotta have the full team of 6 and do the heal and all that nonsense.
No, I barely have multiple copies of anything for raid purposes. I have like one powered up like Tyranitar, like one powered up Rampardos. Yep. I have like it looks like I'm using a species clause when I'm raiding.
But anyways, it seems like most of the raids are more like shiny focused. Maybe a couple good raid attackers in there. The Guzzlord will be cool for rerolls, and then definitely try to do the research to get the Great League Guzzlord and the Great League Buzzwole. That's going to be the big one. My guess is it'll be like the Giratina research, where it's probably like win 2 raids, win 4 raids, win 6 raids, win 8 raids or whatever. So we'll probably have to get out there and raid Steve.
I'll do it for this specific purpose.
For the Kartana, right? Imagine how many people do you think have brought Kartana to a tournament, Steve? Right? You could be the first.
Okay, you've convinced me. I mean,
he's gonna run his Kartana, Buzzwole, Guzzlord.
I already brought Buzzwole to Melbourne Regionals.
I think you can.
I think every battle I brought it, I won. From memory, I brought it to probably half my battles, maybe 40%, probably under half. But like it was fine.
Pretty good.
It sort of only worked in the sense that it was a tactical Pokemon in that you swap it in, you bait out a Pokemon that beats it, and then you win.
Hit out Gligar. Gligar come up with like 1 million energy though. Like
I think what it really worked for was like I swapped it in and then a Cresselia counter swapped. No, hang on. I think Cresselia came in and beat it down pretty easily.
Can't you just beat the Cresselia going straight lunge?
Yeah.
What? Maybe it wasn't Cresselia. Maybe it was like. It was like.
I mean, I could see why someone would bring Cresselia because you could at least tank a lunge, whereas you can't really tank a Moonblast. But
actually, I think it was. I think it was Cresselia, and it wasn't you let Buzzwole go down every time, and then you just come in with Mandibuzz, and I think they must have had like Future Sight, so it was just an easy.
I wonder if Buzzwole could like 2-shield the Cresselia, but anyways.
With Future Sight, I don't know. Well, if the Cresselia is also shielding.
Right, but I'm saying if you've debuffed them enough, maybe you tank them.
Buzzwole's not that tanky.
I was going to say, I'm not sure that it would, even after 2 debuffs, be able to take like a Moonblast.
Fair.
Yeah. Buzzwole's pretty tanky in Master League, though. I've seen it in Master League, and it's one of my patrons is using it once, and it looked quite fun to run, but...
it's just the type coverage of its moves is just kind of risky because you get walled by like flying and ghosts.
Yep. It's Giratina is pretty rough. Into that one for sure. So some event bonuses as well. So remote raid pass limit will be increased to 20 from Monday through Thursday. And then there'll be no limit on Friday through Sunday. And the no limit one's probably better because that's you got the Buzzwell Fair Mosa circuitry. So like there's 3 different
right, but that's also over GoFest weekend, which is going to have
also GoFest weekend, yeah.
Right, that's the main reason they're lifting it is because
that's true. I was thinking it's the Stack Attack and Bucephalon, but that's actually on the Thursday. So, so no limits, and then etc. You can get XL candies if you're level 31 and above, and then there's a special paid ticket if you want, mostly for XL candies. And Pokemon backgrounds, global challenge. There's always some global challenge. So
wait, when you said XL candies, is it like XLs of the Ultra Beasts or?
Yeah, it's like 5 XL circuitry. Yeah, no, not actual.
That's not like super useful then.
That's for the paid ticket.
Yeah.
But,
right, but like most of those,
the bonus is that it's guaranteed from trades, Monday through Sunday, Monday July 8th through Sunday July 14th.
Wait, guaranteed XL?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I misread that. I thought it was just guaranteed get rare XL or candy XL just from catching stuff. But yeah,
it's like guaranteed for all trades.
Oh, that's pretty big.
If you're level 31 and up.
Yeah,
for a whole week. That's really cool.
Good.
And that's after GoFest New York. So I mean, people are going to have a lot to trade. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking at you, all the Atlanta people going to GoFest and then coming back to me.
True. Yeah.
I'll help you out. I'll trade you these Pidgeys so you can get the XLs you need.
Yeah, it might trigger lucky, get a hundo for Ultra League. You never know. Sorry, I missed that bonus.
Listen, I already have not 1 but 2 Pidgeots maxed out for Ultra League.
Same here. You gotta get one with the Gust and then the other one with the wing attack, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah.
At least,
but now you need those shadows.
No,
getting 100 Shadow Pidgey is a whole different story.
You're right though. I do need to find more of the Pidgeot grunts or Pidgey grunts so that I can get like a purified hundo for.
I forgot. Yeah, I learned recently too that Cass is very anti-shadow Pokemon, which I didn't realize.
Yeah, I'm not anti. I don't use them. That's all. You can use whatever you want.
You're missing out.
And then my purified Pidgeot with return will wipe the floor with it.
Okay, I got a question for you though. If you have like a Hundo Shadow Mewtwo, do you purify it?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, I did that for my Apex Lugia.
It Hundo Shadow Apex Lugia. Do you have footage of this?
It was a Hundo before.
I took a recording of it.
Wait. You should tweet this out because I don't think you had Twitter back then, right? Or X or whatever.
No, I did not. Yeah,
you saw the footage.
I took video because I knew it would make people really mad.
Oh no! Tweet it out. I'll even retweet it so we get maximum like backlash on it if you want to see it. Yeah. No, that's major engagement right there. It doesn't matter that Apex Lugia is not in like research right now, but people remember that. So
yeah. No. There was no question. I was like, oh, this purifies to a hundo, and I don't have a hundo Lugia.
Wait. Okay. But was it a hundo before? Was it a hundo before though?
No.
Okay. No. So I'm saying like if it's like actually like 15, 15, 15 as a shadow, would you purify?
I'd still purify it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's way more understandable though, especially if you don't have the 100 before. And then like the Apex purified all still look pretty cool too. Like
they do, Like, they've got like the Aurora effects and stuff. It's very cool.
Yeah, I love it. Those back. Okay, well that good to know if you get the Hundo Shadow, but
yeah.
I think I have like a 98% Shadow Pidgey.
Yeah. Oh, what's the 14?
And return even gets the stab bonus. Come on.
We get return though. Does everything that resists return like resist flying too?
Right, because I want to run Brave Bird return.
I guess against electrics, right? Like you have a little coverage there, but
but doesn't Brave Bird hit them just as hard?
I have a purified Pidgeot that I've used a couple times in Great League, and I have return and Aerial Ace because I tried to run it with Brave Bird, like having 2 nukes, but it's just like it's too slow. You just need a good bait move. So
all right, it's 15, 15, 14. It's 14 on the HP.
Oh wait, that's really good. Is it functional?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't
I mean, it could still be a functional hundo. What was it? Pidgeots? Let's see here.
Shout out pvpoke.com.
Yeah, shout out. No, I don't think it is. No, it's not functional. But you're wait. Yeah, it's not functional. But you're down like 1 HP. It's not nothing crazy.
even at 51.
Usually speaking, when it's not, yeah. From what I've noticed, like if it's not functional at 50, it's not functional at 51 either, and
Gotcha.
That's what's happening. So I don't know. That could be good. You have the XLs.
Yeah, I have like 360 XLs or something, but I don't have a regular Pidgeot built, so it'd be a question of.
Well,
but I also
think
don't.
Kaz has got a suggestion for you then.
Yeah. It'll be less XLs too if you purify this thing, and
true.
you could actually run the return Pidgeot now.
Yes.
Yeah, you let us know what that covers. One other bonus, which is kind of cool from the global challenge, is if you complete the challenge in time, all trainers will be able to use Beast Balls when they encounter Ultra Beasts.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, because the Beast Balls made life so much easier.
It's like you catch on like the first or second ball, like.
Yep.
Oh
easy.
man,
what's the catch rate difference?
Oh, it's like almost guaranteed.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
Beast Balls were so easy. Every single time.
It makes rating
10
like so much
times
quicker.
catch rate.
And when you use it in battle, you throw out a Beast Ball.
Yeah, that's true. But it just makes the rating so much quicker because it's like instead of like sitting there for like 5 minutes trying to catch the dang thing, you catch it on like the second ball or the first ball, then you're off.
Oh, wait. The 10 times catch rate was in the regular game. In Pokemon Go, it's a 20 times catch rate.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, I was like 10 times doesn't feel that much better, but yeah. No, I remember when they had this. What was it, a year ago or 2 years ago? Yeah, it was a good time in Global Go Fest. I was just in the passenger seat of HM London's car. He was just my local and fellow content creator. He was just driving me around. I was like, dude, I'm just like catching like Ultra Beasts like nonstop. It was great. It was a good time. Yeah, so everyone try to do the Ultra Unlock. Yeah, what were we saying?
The one that Kaz mentioned, the trade bonus, that's for like a week, you said? Guaranteed XLs from trades? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So that's the
during this event. It's actually Monday to Sunday, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, July 8th through Sunday, July.
I didn't notice 14th. That one. That's actually a huge bonus. But, I have to say, it's a bummer they didn't make that a seasonal bonus this year. Your season. I'm kind of frustrated.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was something that alternated in and out like every other season, but then we didn't get it this season, and I was like,
well, and they normally do it with the trade bonus of an extra special trade every day.
Right.
Like that's what we've had the last 2 summers too. Like during that like summer season with all the Go Fests and Worlds and stuff, like having all those trade bonuses is nice. And so it's kind of frustrating they took that away. Like we just had this whole thing like a few months ago on Twitter about accessibility, and then everyone's saying how inaccessible the game is, which is true. And then it just feels like we're taking a step backwards with them removing the guaranteed XLs from trade bonus for the season, like not giving us the Cresselia from Emmy Weedle's team in the giveaway, the distribution and stuff. Like, I just feel like we're taking a step back on the accessibility side, which is kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I think the research encounter Buzzwole and stuff will be nice this time around, at least,
for sure.
In the Guzzlord. But I feel, it was kind of weird that they took away some stuff that they've been giving. But Emmy Weedle, if we got that Cresselia, man, that would have been really nice. I think
it's not gonna hurt anything, but it just makes it easier for new
people. Definitely going to be using the Twitch drops too, if that's the case. Exactly. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't do the Twitch drops because it was just an Altaria, and I couldn't figure it out on my phone. I think it was like hard to do, but
it's just an Altaria. It doesn't even have the move. Like, at least give it the exclusive.
Oh, does it have Moonblast? Yeah.
No.
I found out recently that Dazzling Gleam does the same damage as Moonblast.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
I think it's more energy.
I know, it's a straight downgrade. I didn't even realize that. I was like, what the heck? I didn't realize
it's more energy and no debuff either.
No debuff, yeah. It's like straight just like worse across the board. Yeah. But I thought it was like, okay, maybe it does a little bit more damage to get to Moonblast faster, so the trade-off's worth it with the debuff chance.
Nope.
But yeah, that's a pretty bad move.
Play your com days.
For real.
What other events we
So
got?
we have a Pokemon League. This is actually pretty cool. So it's also happening around GoFest 2024. So this year, but they said that Niantic's partnering with Play Pokemon program and a selection of their local retail partners to host Pokemon Go Fest 2024 celebration events. And this is really cool for the PPers too.
Mm-hmm.
But during select locations, it'll be during the same time or mostly same time. So Monday the 8th to Friday the 12th. And then so it's Pokemon League, and Pokemon League is a fun, accessible way for fans to get together and play Pokemon Go at local game stores. And then you can come regardless of what trainer experience level you have, and then yeah, so you'll get rewards through Campfire. So if you sign up and check in at Campfire meetup events during select locations with the Campfire app, you can redeem a code. You'll receive a code that's redeemable through the web store, and you get 100 Lunar Fusion Energy, 100 Solar Fusion Energy, 1 Star Piece, and 10 Pokeballs. So the Fusion Energy is important for the Necrozma fusion with Solgaleo / Lunala.
Yeah, I think you need like
And
1,000 energy, I heard.
I don't know how many specifics I don't have on myself, but yeah, that sounds about right. 1,000 is actually quite a bit, though. Actually, now that I think about
That's
it.
heaps.
But hey, so gotta come by this one.
And the thing with leagues is they're not CP awarding events, so it's like a more casual, like fun experience. So like hopefully we can get some, some of the more casual player base, people that maybe don't PvP or don't PvP as much, to come into these leagues, like check them out, and like if they enjoy it, like hopefully they'll start showing up for cups and challenges too. So like I think it's a good way to try to draw in some of the more casual player base. And I mean, I think the big thing here is like the rewards, like maybe aren't the best, but it's just promising to see that Niantic is partnering with Play Pokemon to give in-game rewards for locals. Because hopefully this is just the first step, and we start seeing maybe more in-game rewards for other leagues, or maybe even cups and challenges, right? Like, because that's what I think we really need to grow the scene, because the people that are going to cups and challenges for CP are going to go regardless. What we need is incentives for the people who aren't chasing CP to convince them to show up to locals. And I think the way to do that is with in-game rewards. So hopefully this is, the first step, and we maybe can start seeing more of this with maybe even better rewards. That's sort of what I think a lot of people are excited about, is just seeing this is happening and hoping that it will continue going forward.
Yeah, I'm all for encouraging like more players to participate, like in growing the competitive scene.
Do any of you have one of these events going on near you that week?
Yeah, Tabletop, where they had the Seattle Go Fest tournament. Remember, Caleb?
2 years ago. Yeah.
They're doing one there. I think it's on the Friday. I don't know if I'll be able to go or not, because I might be working, but it's cool to see that there's one happening at least.
Yeah, we have one in LA, I think, on the Thursday, but curious to see how many people show up for it.
Honestly, I'm not sure if there's any happening here in Atlanta, because most of the people organizing the usual events are gone.
They're gone? Oh.
Like for GoFest.
Oh, this will be after GoFest.
This is for global.
I thought this was the same weekend.
No, so it's it's the week right after GoFest, So that Monday through Friday right after.
Then I was just looking at the wrong.
Yeah, so it's like the same period that all of those like Ultra Beast like raid hours are happening. It's that same week, like the week leading up to Global Go Fest is when it is.
Hey, a good shout is potentially hosted right after the raid hour. So like 7:30 or something, right? 8:00. Like after you did raid hour, let's head over to the this event. So could be a good.
Or even
any near you, Steve?
That honestly, like, I don't quite comprehend how your stores are cool with doing this, because around my area, like even the stores that we've managed to get to host cups and challenges, which is already so hard, like they're like, okay, so you want us to host another event that doesn't award championship points, that just takes up room in our, like we're already doing a cup and a challenge for you this month. Why are we going to do like another thing in the timetable. And like my state actually is going to have less stores this season than last season. Like they're actually dropping off into this season. So I was like,
no.
So I know, like, my G'day Battlers co-host Debbie Pebble over in Perth. She's a machine at getting these like cups and challenges and stuff going. So I think there's actually 2 that are happening over in Perth.
Well, hopefully, yeah. I mean, I definitely know it's hard to convince stores to do things in some places, but like, hopefully, they will see that things like leagues are what you need to draw in more players, and like, is a way that they can get more people in the door at their store. So like, but the problem is not all of them have that same vision.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, shout out to my local organizer, James Ablation, as well, too. He's pretty on top of hosting his stuff, but also been around the grassroots scene for Pokemon Go for a while. But he works at a card shop, so it's nice because he can just be like, hey, my work can host it. I was like, especially because like in the evening, right? Because a lot of times their stores close anyway, so no one's going to even be there during those times.
That makes
so
sense.
yeah, so good on them. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, if it's successful, other stores will be open. But yeah, it is always tough because you do have to use someone's like actual physical space, and it's slightly tougher to do. But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I think it's a good idea. It's, but we just need to keep finding ways to make it a little more accessible.
I think they could bump up the rewards a little bit. 1 star piece, like nothing crazy. 10 Pokeballs, like why even throw that on the graphic? Besides to fill up space. But like, especially if what you're saying is true about the fusion energy, like you need 1,000. Like 100 is not that much for No one's like, I don't know how many people are going to be struggling, be like, oh my gosh, I'm less than 100 away. I need to go to this event, right? Especially because it's before Global Go Fest. So if you don't have the energy already, like you're not going to have the energy. So like you just rate it later, right? I think it's like if it happened after. I don't know.
Like throw like maybe like a rare XL candy in there.
Yeah.
Like an elite TM or like 5 charge TMs or something. Like up the energy to like, I don't know.
Yeah.
300
like, you know what we want.
Like
you know what we use.
Right, like it's again, I'm excited because it's something and hopefully we see it again. But yeah, the rewards just I'm afraid the rewards aren't quite enough to really entice people to go out. Right? Like it needs to be something, and I understand that like they don't want it to be like too good of rewards such that people that don't have it near them are like feel like they're missing out and it's unfair, but like there's definitely got to be a fine line of having the rewards good enough that people are actually excited and want to go to it, but obviously not too good that people who miss out are negatively impacted. And obviously Niantic's also worried about like the item economy or whatever. So there's definitely a fine line, but I agree.
Dude, the item economy, man, that's just their own economy they made up. Like this is like they're acting like they're like in a recession, like you can. This is your economy, you said, right?
I fully agree with you, Caleb. But I'm just saying that's the way they're viewing it. Whether that's right or wrong, like that's how they're looking at it. I will say my one other frustration with this is the timing of their rollout, because they announced this before everything else was like set up and ready to go, and so they like linked to like the tournament map, and I think a lot of stores hadn't gotten their events up on the map yet. So like people, and the thing so like people like saw the article, were excited, clicked on the map and saw nothing by them, and like those people probably aren't going to check the map again like a week later. Like it feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I just checked the map right now and I still can't see anything.
Yeah,
I feel like that's just
definitely check out Campfire. I would recommend that because that's where I found mine.
You also might have to expand your radius, because when I clicked the map, it was only showing me a 10-mile radius, and so nothing showed up. And when I bumped it up to whatever the next one is, 25, then I had like one Go Fest event show up, plus like a cup and a couple challenges all showed up, because it just the radius was too small.
Debbie was telling me that like even 12 hours before we've started recording, they still like hers wasn't in Campfire yet still. So
I don't
even people that have gone to Campfire, it's like kind of
interesting. I will say, Campfire maybe not everyone's favorite app by any means, but you should definitely use it if you're not, especially if you have like a local community that plays, because the amount of people that are willing to trade Giratina or Giratina research more than you would think. Like I'm meeting someone on Wednesday before GoFest to do a trade.
But also like the free items, like for the elite raids we just had, there's a community ambassador that set up an event nearby, and like all I had to do is like drive by the location, check in on Campfire, and I got 2 free raid passes.
What? Oh.
Yeah, they have like the
man.
official meetups from the ambassadors. Like they're starting to do this where like the elite raids was 2 free raid passes. Like sometimes community days if you
I
check
didn't even
in.
see elite raid this entire weekend. Is that just me? I know people were complaining on X about it. But like I didn't even see any Mega Rayquaza this entire weekend.
I mean, I saw some, but they weren't like right by me because they only happen at EX gyms, so it's like limited what gyms they can be at. So like there wasn't any visible from my apartment, but like I looked on like the local Discord, and people talked about where they were. So like I was able to drive like maybe like 10 minutes and get to a few, and then like it was like I went out for 5 and 6 o'clock, and so I did like 2 at one spot, and then was able to stop by the location, check in, and then do another like 3 with people at a different location that was like on the way basically. But yeah, they're starting to do that more where like the community ambassadors, like if you check in for their event, they're giving out different things. So like usually like raid hours, I think it's like 1 or 2 raid passes. Like sometimes the community days, they're giving out like the paid research for free if you go to these meetups and check in. So like there's definitely incentive for using Campfire and attending these community ambassador meetups because they're giving away like some in-game rewards.
Got you. But yeah, so that's hopefully if you have any stores near you hosting events, definitely worth checking out. But would love to see more partnering with TBCI in the future from Niantic as well. We do have one other quick event left, and it's going to be the Aquatic Paradise one. This is happening pretty much this weekend from July 6th to Tuesday the 9th, and it's really just in line with the GoFest in New York, but globally for everyone else. Bunch of wild encounters, all just like water Pokemon for the most part. Nothing crazy. Star use nice because the extra Stardust. And then Frillish, if you still don't have Jellicents, especially for Ultra League, you'll need the XLs. And then Incense Encounters has Shelder, Lapras, which are probably the 2 main ones. Because, Lapras is kind of on the rare side, and then Shelder gets extra dust. Everything could be shiny, though, from these.
Is there a new shiny?
Yeah, it's the Ducklet.
Oh, Ducklet. Oh, yeah.
Because Ducklet is being released at New York Go Fest. So this allows everyone to have a chance at that after New York Go Fest has started.
Shiny Ducklet looks kind of cool too. It's like a little pink duck.
Pink. Yeah, it's
cute. Pink and purple. Yeah, it's
I was gonna be hunting that because it's a bird.
It is a bird. I must have it.
Yeah. Well, what's the plan, Kaz? If you don't get, you're just playing until you get one, right? Is that the plan? Or?
Yeah, no. This is like it's very rare that like events get me excited, but like if there's a new like bird shiny, I'm like, okay. Every day.
Gotta get it.
Kaz is quickly booking a trip to New York for the weekend.
Well, I was going to go, but the plans kind of fell through. But I do have a friend who will be there playing. So if she already knows if she gets extras, they are claimed.
Yeah. I'll be there. So if you need one, I got you. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
You've already told me earlier in the podcast that you have nothing to offer, so I'll keep that in mind.
It's true. I don't.
I'm hoping maybe 5 years down the road you have more stuff maybe to offer.
Yeah. I mean, I have Guzzlords. I'll give you.
Save that research Buzzwolf.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, Caleb, you're not just going to play, right? You're gonna.
Yeah, so I'll be there. So yeah, for a heads up for anyone that's going to New York Go Fest, I'll be there Thursday through Monday, and just like the past 2 years, I'll be one of the coaches for the PP area, the arena. So, that'll be cool. Yeah, so come find me there. I have like a half day shift like every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'll probably be in the park if I'm not working, and just walk around and catching. So you'll see my sign on my like attached to me. It'll say looking for level 15 Giratina / Rayquaza and Buzzwole and all that stuff. So so be on the lookout. Some people are super nice there too, and they're just like, "Hey, just give me anything." Or like, just give me a Buzzwole from a raid. I was like, okay, easy enough, right? Raid one for level 15 one, I'll take it. Some people, they know what they're doing. It's like, yeah, sure. If you mirror, I was like, it's like I gave up my mirror one a long time ago. Yeah, there's some paid research stuff, nothing crazy. But that's pretty much the weekend event for those that aren't able to go to the New York Go Fest. And I'm sure if you don't actually get it at New York Go Fest, this duck will probably spawning everywhere during the Global Go Fest, if I were to guess. So
yeah, I think that's a safe bet. Most of the like new shinies
they usually
are
do that.
released at the various Go Fests are released for the global. So
yeah. And then we have Android special events. I ain't no Android user, so T-Wall break it down for us.
Me.
I'm not an Android user either.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah, there's where is this here? Okay, so Google Play Rewards. It looks like you can use I think it's 10 play points, and you get this. I think it's a timed research, and you have to claim it. Like you have to redeem this by July 15th, I believe.
Starting now though, July 1st actually is when it'll start. Yeah.
No, I'm saying you have to like the end date to claim it.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I'm just letting you know, like you can do it now.
Yeah,
right?
it's live now.
You can, it can be claimed now, and you have
US
until
only,
July
though.
15th.
It's US only.
That is
non-American.
Sorry.
Yeah, all of our non-American listeners, you can't do it. And
I got so hot. I clicked the link.
It comes with there's like a few items like an incubator and some Stardust and stuff, but the big draw is there's a Charcadet encounter, which means assuming it's level 15, I don't think anyone's finished yet, it'll be a Great League eligible Amarouge or Celerouge, which is the first time you can get those Great League eligible. So that's the biggest draw.
Dude, I don't even have one of my Pokédex in general, but
I have extras. I could trade you for the shiny duckling.
I think I've hatched one, but I haven't evolved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this will be not that they're particularly good, but it's the first time you can get them in Great League. So that's kind of the biggest draw is the level 15 Shark Tank.
The rest of rewards aren't anything too crazy, but yeah, that's a good one though. To do. So
but also I think like 10 play points, I don't know much about it, but I don't think that's like all that much. So it's like a fairly like easy to get
it's really easy.
Little research encounter. So
honestly,
again,
especially
US only, Android only.
Because Android users lose have so many frame drops in GBL and PvP, so this is the least that
this is our recompense.
Hey, those Android users got those turkey coins though.
True, and they might not actually be in Turkey. And you know, if you actually are in Turkey, you don't get access to this special redemption, unfortunately. But it's Turkey coins are up now though. But I think Brazil is the next best thing, currency wise. Not recommending, but just saying. But yeah, that does it for our events. We got a new segment this week and future weeks. It's called Kaz's Corner. So I'll let Kaz take it away.
This is my corner where we are going to discuss some Pokemon facts and how they relate to the real world creatures that most Pokemon are based on. So every week I plan on having some fun facts for you, both from the Pokedex and, from real life. And we're also going to do a little trivia. And we'll keep track of the scores from the lads here.
All right.
My trivia question for you guys today is, according to the Sun and Moon Pokedex, how many pecks per second can a Pikipek peck?
Oh.
Wait, how many pecks per second?
Per second.
Yeah. How many?
Ooh. Okay. Should we all 20. Just think of an answer? We'll all answer. I guess you're guessing.
Yeah. Okay. You all think of your answer, and then we'll go one at a time. So, does everyone have a guess in mind?
Okay, I've got one. I don't know how insane it is.
All right, we'll go. I'll go last. Right.
Okay, so start with Steve.
Okay, so like, I'm just gonna throw out a number here, and this is gonna be insane. 1,000 per second.
No,
setting
no
a really,
way. All right.
really
it's between
high
me and Tristen here.
Tristan, do you have a guess?
20.
Okay.
Are we going with whoever gets closest?
Well,
he's about to say 21.
Well, we're just gonna keep score based on who actually got it right. We can give a half point for the closest, I guess.
All right, I'm gonna go with 20. Dude, this is per second. I'm gonna go with 10, but I feel like even 10's overdoing it a little bit. Oh.
So according to the entries in the Sun and Moon Pokedex, it is 16 pecks per second.
What?
Whoa.
But in a fun reality fact, real life woodpeckers can
1,000
peck to 20 per second.
What?
So is actually slower than real life woodpeckers.
Wow.
Dang.
Wait, that's crazy.
It is, but it's what they spend
have
their entire day. It's what they spend their entire day doing. Well, in more fun facts about real life woodpeckers, their main diet is actually based on bugs.
Yeah.
So they will eat fruit sometimes.
But that's what they're pecking for, right? They're trying to find.
But they are pecking for bugs. So bugs are really high in protein. So they got a lot of energy.
Yeah, but the problem is like, here's what I'm thinking. I mean, how do they notice a bug? Like, imagine like you're a woodpecker, you pecking away, and like 10 minutes later, and like what is that? Like 20,000 pecks.
You're underestimating how many bugs are in things, Caleb.
Oh, are they? Okay, because I'm just imagining if I'm a woodpecker, I spend all this energy. I'm like, there's no bugs here, and like I'm about to die soon because I just burned so much calories trying to get this. Like, I think I read somewhere that the hummingbirds also like need to consume eat all the time because they're constantly flapping their wings.
You don't want to start a conversation about hummingbirds with me. It is so wild. Like the hummingbird.
We'll save for another Kaz's Corner.
Yeah, that is the next one. But yes, 16 times per second for pecky peck according to the Pokedex. And yeah, that's actually on average slower than most real world woodpeckers.
I had no idea woodpeckers peck that fast. I was just like, it's a Pokemon, so it's going to have some like semi-absurd number. So
I was going to guess 5 at first. I was like, maybe we'll just go like 10. I'll give the point to Tristan on that one because you not only got it closest, but you actually had like the most accurate to like real life woodpeckers.
Yeah, I think Tristan earned that point.
Let's go.
And so in a few more fun,
we'll see how wild the response from Steve gets from week to week. Maybe next week he'll tone it down. Be like, I'm gonna try to win this one.
The spiciest answer, unless it comes to Whalmer, like then you'll probably go for the real.
If you don't get the Whalmer one right, then that's
If he doesn't get the Whalmer one right,
can I phone a friend?
Have to pick a new favorite Pokemon.
And in one more like real world fun fact, so like people often talk about how Picky Peck evolving all the way to toucan makes no sense, right? You're going from a woodpecker to a toucan, basically. But actually,
in Pokemon
but actually, both woodpeckers and real toucans, they come from the same order, so they are very distantly related. So it actually does make sense in like real world birds.
Wait,
they both
order?
have
like, what does order mean?
Like, species, family.
Oh, okay,
order.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So in scientific taxonomy, they are actually pretty closely related, and they both do have those long bills, even if they serve very different purposes. Toucans have those curved bills to actually eat fruit. They do eat fruit. That's their primary diet.
Yeah.
But real world woodpeckers, they mostly eat bugs. There are a few outliers, and sometimes they will eat berries if there's no other sources of food around. But yes, those are your fun facts in Kaz's Corner for today.
I feel like the toucan balls was just like, man, I'm not going to do all this work anymore. I'm just going to eat the fruit. The worm didn't even taste that good. Yeah. But all right, good stuff. So we're currently in GBL right now. Obviously, I've had legend bets with the past 2 hosts, and I'm trying to figure out something for us here, but I think everyone besides me is keen on not doing a legend bet. But
I don't think the rest of us even GBL enough.
Yeah, I think
I'm
there's
like
going to be
usually
a pretty
average
clear
about
winner.
like 600 battles a season.
See, but the thing is, if there's a bet going on, you will have the motivation to GBL. We could think more on that, I guess, as we. If anyone has suggestions down below in the comments, feel free to drop some on what we should do.
I made an effort this season so far to like, I don't know, it's been most of it except for Summer Cup has been like all open leagues, so I've been trying to take it like not as seriously. Like up until I reached, I think, rank 20, I was just doing auto rect. Like I was like, I'm not even gonna make a team. I'm just gonna I allowed myself substitutions. Like if it suggested something crazy that I didn't have built, like Tauros or whatever, I could replace it with another normal type, you know.
Oh, okay.
So that I got an idea.
All right, I got an idea. This could be good. All right. Let's just take everyone's elo at the end of last season and we'll create teams. So the person with the highest elo will pair up with the person from the lowest elo, and then the two in the middle will be paired. And then what we could do is we'll just set like a date, like some, I don't know, like a hypothetical date, like let's say August 1st, right? By August 1st, like the pair that has the highest combined elo will win, and then we could do something.
Look, let's just say I'm all for any idea that pairs me up with Caleb on this one. That's
well, I don't know if people's ending elo, right?
I don't know. You might have to fight for that.
Yeah, all right, let's check.
So it'll be at the end of the season elo, right? So no one knows, right? Anyone's elo. What do you think about that? Before we specify the teams and the parameters of what the losers will have.
I mean, I think that's more interesting, like combining two people's than like
I'm gonna be DMing my teammate every day and be like, you need a team recommendation? Like this worked for me. Like,
I mean,
what can I do to help you climb?
I feel like I have an advantage here in the sense that like my in-game elo could definitely go higher, seeing as I've been playing all GBL season with Whalmers and Swallows. So
Kat was saying she was doing auto rec, and Tristan said he doesn't even GBL. So this could be.
I don't think I've GBL'd since Summer Cup ended.
Wow.
Okay.
There's some room for growth then.
Well, I usually do like at least one set per day, but yeah, some days go better than others.
Okay, I got it. How about this? So if we agree to these parameters, the losers of this bet has to eat. So I know you all probably don't have it, but when Anacor was on the podcast, we both bought like the bean boozled jelly beans, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
There's like some good ones, some bad ones. So it's like kind of like a 50-50 toss up. I'll buy the bean boozled jelly beans to the respective losers, and then you gotta pop one in your mouth, like let's say one every 15 minutes. Is that
I'll
good?
do one every 5. Just crank those up.
I mean, 1-5 could be good too. I mean, that'll be a way to do it. One every 15. So let's say if you should do 2-hour episodes, that's only 8. That's not too bad, right?
Yeah.
And some of them are probably good.
Yeah, I'm down. Easy down. There's
no
stakes.
I do that.
All right.
That seems better than
that. All right. Okay, let's do an elo check then. Let's see what
from last season.
From
last season?
From
like
last
from the
season,
end of
yeah.
last season? Okay.
Yeah. Because I think right now, like it could be just like, and then maybe we'll do combined, like our combined elo on, I guess the episode we record right after like August 1st or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So I have 3286 from last season.
Mine was only 2380.
Okay. All right.
2883.
Okay.
With 285 battles, we have 2075.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's do it. Also, like, I don't know if they even ship Bean Boozled to Australia, so this
I think
is
we've
extra
got
motivation.
I think.
Hey, Steve's gonna be at Worlds.
True.
It's true.
Yeah,
It'll
but that'll be
be
after the August, right?
Yeah, but we can just bring him the beans
I guess
at
we
Worlds,
could.
and we
I
can
guess
do it
that's
later.
true. It would just be the
I guess we
episode
can.
after Worlds.
Yeah. Well, let's think on it. We'll see. Let's aim for August 1st either way, right?
All right.
So we'll set that as the deadline, right? So August 1st, combined elo.
Okay.
All right, Steve. I need you to cut that Wilmer stuff out of your routine. I need you to take this seriously, man.
Okay, so at the moment,
beans don't taste good at all.
All right, so I'm gonna get into content creation and start making some. I'm gonna get Dracovis to make an all Whalmer team graphic.
Won't be able to resist.
No. I'm gonna get Dracovis to block Steve so he can't even see their posts, on X. Just to avoid any of this issue. All right, I'm looking forward to this.
All right, so what's everyone at right now? Is the question.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. Actually, that's mine's not actually very high right now. I'm at 2509.
Oh, I'm not very high right now.
Steve, where are you at?
Mine's at
well, there's people hitting legend right now already. So.
I know. Mine's at 2256.
Okay.
I'm at 2216.
2216. What are you at? Oh gosh. Oh my gosh.
I don't even know.
I think this only further emphasizes that the pairings are correct. So yeah, he's at rank 17 right now.
For all we know, he's gonna hit rank 20 and be at like 2500.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we can put those rumors to bed.
If that happens, we might have to reassess.
I need to pick this up.
No, I'm actually kind of mad because I was like right at the end of Summer Cup. I was like right below hitting veteran, and I was kind of excited. I was like,
oh that's
this
really high too, especially Summer Cup time period.
Yeah,
too.
I was like that. This actually might be the fastest I've ever gotten a veteran. And then as soon as it went back to open leagues, I was like, no, okay. All right,
you using
fine.
Shadow Giraffe Rig? Because I heard that was a cheat code.
Wait, was it?
Summer Cup. I don't know. That's
No,
what
I was
said.
not. Yeah, that is what
frustration too.
Yeah, no.
Well, it was like frustration, like psychic things. I think. Yeah.
I know, but
yeah. You didn't
no, I was using a couple different ABB teams that I just really liked, and it just like went really well. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what I was doing. It was magic apparently, but then open leagues came back, and I was quite upset.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's. I like how it's going. We'll see how it goes. But all right, and we have a new segment too. We have Professor Tristen here. Another segment. But I'll let you break this one down, Tristen.
Yeah. So basically, I'm going to so I kind of spend a lot of time like looking at different like move updates, like potential move updates, like Pokemon that could learn new moves, like moves that could be buffed or nerfed, and sort of the impact of that. So I'm just going to kind of walk through like an idea for a move change or potentially set of move changes that I like or think is interesting. And I just want to preface this with saying that like while some of these ideas are mine, I don't want to take credit for all the ideas I'm sharing because some of them might be, ideas that I saw someone post on Twitter or X that I thought were interesting, or, I have some friends that I, chat with about ideas and, theory craft and talk through it. So some of these might be their ideas, or it might be, a modification of something I saw on X or a modification of a friend's idea or something. But again, I don't want to take credit for all of them because they're not all my own ideas. But yeah, let's hop into it. So the first idea I have here is a 1 damage buff to Fairy Wind.
Okay.
Because right now there's not really many relevant Fairy Wind users across any of the leagues. Mostly for Fairy, we have Charm users, and then we have like Azumarill, Tapu Fini, and then in Master League you have like Zacian and Xerneas. Mm-hmm. So I think
none of them use Fairy Wind.
Exactly, none of them use Fairy Wind. So I think a 1 damage increase on Fairy Wind would make the move a little bit stronger, and allow us to see some more fairies that play with like an energy oriented focus. And then you could pair that with some additional buffs to some fairy wind users. So like you can give fairy wind to Sylveon, and then also give Sylveon dig, because ground is a really good coverage combo with fairy, because it hits poison, fire, and steel for super effective. So you could do something like that, Sylveon with fairy wind and dig. You could also give this is more of a side grade, but you could give fairy wind to Togekiss, so that in Master League it could play as more of a energy focused mon. Again, it's not like a strict upgrade, but it would just give it a different play style.
What would Fairy Wind getting, instead of 1 extra damage but like 1 extra energy per Fairy Wind, be too overpowered?
It might be. I haven't looked at that.
Because I've used Whimsicott and I'm like struggling to beat a Vigoroth with it. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I'm double baiting with C-Bomb and barely beating it with the Moonblast.
Yeah, Whimsicott just doesn't have the bulk, you know? So
I mean, that's definitely another option. I haven't looked into that one as much. The damage buff seemed like a little more minor while still vaulting them into relevance and allowing them to do a little more very fast move damage without being like oppressive charm. And then
it definitely won't be broken with extra damage for sure.
And then another one that I really like to pair is Nightshade, buffing it to be a Drill Run clone and giving it to Clefable, because Fairy Ghost is really good coverage, so it would make Clefable like a very safe neutral Pokemon, and would give us something a little different than what we've seen before. And then you could also, this would be like more of a lower impact change, but like Mawile, you could give it either like Dynamic Punch to be able to hit steals, or you could give it Brutal Swing, because like Fairy and Dark is a pretty good type coverage combo. Again, that's not going to be as impactful, but could still see some play as like a Spice Pick or in some limited cups, and take it away from that like Shadow Fire Fang play style.
Yeah. Well, I definitely like the idea of fairies getting like, in general, more fairies getting like better coverage moves. You know, because I feel like one of the limitations of fairy is like, not only is everyone just going for the high charm damage output, but you just don't really have a lot of use for the charge attacks that you get most of the time. Because like right now we have Master League Premier Cup, and I see a lot of Florges. And Florges just has like no coverage.
Pure fairy,
yeah, and it has no
Florges
like real good coverage
spot.
moves. It has psychic, but like it just doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, it's also resisted by steel types anyway.
Yeah, Florges doesn't have great coverage options, unfortunately. Like, you can like make it a pseudo grass type because it has a bunch of grass moves it could learn, like it's Seed Bomb, Trailblaze, I think Grass Knot, but like those aren't really helping it because grass is resisted by all the types that resist fairy anyways. So it's not the best coverage, but like there's definitely fairies you can give some different coverage to.
I think Florges is actually okay because I've used it in Master League Premier Classic and or Premier, and dude, that thing it almost like 2 shots at Excadrill with Moonblast, straight Moonblast. So I think the Fairy Wind buff potentially actually could allow it to just 2-shot Excadrill with Moonblast with the extra Fairy Wind damage.
Oh,
so,
that's true. Yeah.
So sure. I think I'm pretty okay with Floor just not getting extra coverage against steel types, because then just like
I don't think safe. I've looked at its moveset. I don't think it can really has anything that gives it coverage into steel. It's all.
I just mean any fairies that do get sort of more unusual moves, like, because it just seems to me like, especially when it comes to pure fairies like Sylveon, like Florges, you know, like Clefable, like it just doesn't seem like they're tapping into, like in Go, they're not tapping into like some of the resources they have like in the main series games.
Yeah. That's why I really like the Nightshade on Clefable, and then like Togetic. I haven't looked at this, But like Togetic could be really interesting because it has all sorts of charge moves. Like you can give it Shadow Ball,
So
Flamethrower,
wild.
Mystical Fire, Water
That'd be
Pulse. Like
good.
those are all coverage moves. You just have to make sure it's not too strong because Togetic actually has a really good bulk in Great League. So like just buffing Fairy Wind and giving it some sort of coverage move could make it pretty strong. So you'd have to check it for balance, but like that's another one that could definitely be interesting.
Does it have a better fairy move than Dazzling Gleam? Because now that I learned that Dazzling Gleam's kind of hot garbage as when it comes to fairy moves. We can I don't know if it has Moonblast or not, but
I
could
don't
be
know. It doesn't necessarily need a fairy move though, depending what you're doing with it, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
if
true.
fairy one's doing a little more damage, and it's like if you're trying to cover fighters, you have Aerial Ace already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
not
like
like
you might
Umbreon's gonna
run
beat it either, right?
right. So it's
Even
like
if it
you
doesn't
might
have fairy
run like
move.
Aerial Ace with a coverage move, right? Whatever that is. Again, you have to
I'd be
check it
okay
for
with the
balance,
Togetic
but like,
meta.
but again, like Shadow Ball could be interesting because again, like that Ghost Fairy coverage is really strong. But you could also give it something like Mystical Fire might be a little too OP, but like Flamethrower is another option to hit steals. Like there's definitely a variety that you could go with it. And then another interesting one is what's it? Galarian Weezing already has good coverage, and like if you wanted to make it a little better, you could buff Brutal Swing.
Oh no, that
But
thing's
not
good enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one of the few that I feel like
I
no, it's
faced it
good.
in Ultra League, and it's just like it don't matter what it has. I'm like always feel like I'm in a weird position.
It's
But
just one of those Pokemon that whenever it comes in, you're just like, what do I? How do I?
yeah, well, like GBL is harder for it for sure because you don't know what they're running, right? You don't know if they have player off or overheat or whatever. Obviously, like open team sheets would play a little differently, but
yeah,
it would be an interesting one because it has like dark and or fire coverage to hit some of the things that resist fairy. But yeah, that's basically the general idea. Would be buff fairy wind to bring some of these fairy wind users into relevance, and then there's a variety of different buffs you could give them. I think the Dig Sylveon and the buff Nightshade on Clefable are probably two of my favorites, though.
yeah.
I like those a lot.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Well, I know there's some people from 90 that listen to this podcast, so take some notes if you like. From Professor Tristen, I figure no better person to lead this segment than the person that made Cloudsire who it is today. So, but I will say too, I've said this in the podcast before. Like Cloudsire getting the poison jab surf combo would have been just way too broken, and I'm pretty glad that we don't actually have that.
Well, now it hasn't won a regional as a result ever. So.
Hey,
Bastion has either, right?
I blame you. I blame you.
I've got some Cloudsire.
Oh, Bastion won one. Yeah. But this year,
I've got some Cloudsire buffs in the pipeline for a future.
Oh, okay. Stay tuned. Yeah, watch him say we should give it poison jab surf. I come full circle.
I was wrong. I admit it.
That too would get some engagement for sure. Okay, let's talk about the championship series because I know some people are definitely curious to hear our thoughts on this. But we did last week and last week's episode with Anacor, we talked about speculation around this, and conveniently, it also did drop last week on the championship series for next year's season. What is it, 4 for Pokemon Go, but the 2025 season. So they're going to change the qualifications and how they work. And obviously it changes for VGC and TCG as well. Who knows what Unite's doing at this moment in time? But for Go, they changed it too. So for us, we only have one division, no senior and juniors, just all masters. But the invitations we have for us is 75. So right now, let me just backtrack a little bit for those that don't know anything about this right now. So right now it's championship points, or it's you have a certain threshold, or if you win an event, you auto qualify, right? Regional or international.
Top 2 at international.
Top 2 at international, yeah. But you get so many championship points from internationals that you pretty much qualify off the points alone too. Especially like outside of maybe like NA, I think top 2 would qualify automatically anyway from points.
Yes, second place outside of NA would get you the points anyways. But
yeah,
and so each region has a different amount of points they need to get to qualify for Worlds this season. So NA was 500, Europe was 400, Latin was 300, Oceania was initially 300, but it got dropped to 250 because their locals were, released so late. And
yeah. But and then the first 2 years of Pokemon Go, it was top 2 finish at a regional / top 4 at an international, and if anyone that repeated any of those placements or like already qualified, then the invitation does cascade down. Where it does the guaranteed invite did not cascade down this season with the championship points. Yes. So for next year, for the 2025 season, so they changed it. So now it's actually this is the amount of invitation that goes out for each region, no matter what. Don't matter how many championship points you have, right? This is the limitation. It's 75 for NA, so US and Canada, not including Mexico. Mexico will be LATAM. For Europe, it's 50. For LATAM, it's 50. For Oceania, it's 10. And then there's just nothing for Middle East and South Africa, which I don't really get. What's the deal with that? They're just like, they just can't go. I mean, I don't know how many Middle East and South Africa players there are, but like before they,
why do they even include it in there if there's
I think it's
there's a limit for TCG, but there's literally 0 for Go, which is weird.
I think it's probably because for Go, I haven't looked at their leaderboard, but I think they only have like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people on their leaderboard total. So like
how do they qualify for Worlds? They just have to win.
They have to win.
They'd have to win an event.
That sucks. That sucks so bad.
It does. It's just I don't know like what the answer is. Like because I don't think it necessarily makes sense to give one invite to even if you give one invite to the top place out of like 3 or 4 people. Like I don't know if that's necessarily reasonable because like the person who qualifies might qualify with 100 points or something, right? Like, I don't know what the right way to do
that's
it
just,
is.
I mean, to me, that just points out the disadvantage in this system. Like, if you limit the number of invites per region, then there's obviously a lot of regions that you're just kind of cutting out because it's not convenient.
I mean, honestly, if I were like at the minimum, I would just throw them into at least like,
them in
Europe or some other region, right? Just so that they have a chance, even if it's a small chance, because they don't have any tournaments in their area.
It makes the most sense to me to include them with Europe because, I mean, EMEA is how they define a lot of events anyway.
Right. I think the other way that you could do it is you could say top 1 from the region qualifies, but have a caveat of like must have minimum of 300 points or must have a minimum of whatever number of points to qualify.
That would probably be more balanced instead of requiring them to travel to European events.
Yeah.
Right, because we did have a couple Middle East players compete at UIC. I believe there was 2 Israelis and 2 Pakistani players, if I remember correctly. So, like, there are a few people that are competing. So, like, I don't know. I'd be interested to see if there's some sort of a hybrid approach. Because, again, I understand why TPCI wouldn't want to give, like, one invite to if their leaderboard only had 3 or 4 people.
But there's definitely people that PP from those regions for sure. So.
Right. So again, I feel like if you had some hybrid route of like top 1 on the leaderboard, caveat must have, 300 points, 400 points, 250, whatever you think is reasonable, right? So that it'd be sort of a hybrid between the old system and the new system. Like I think that might be a fair route for them. But
you were just in South Africa too, right, Steve?
Yeah.
And there were PPers there.
I was talking to some PvP folk, and one guy who was very not PvP, but he had the stream to get that big Altaria award from the AI stream.
He's tuning in,
but I don't think, to be honest, the vibe I sort of got was because they don't really have an opportunity to qualify. Why would they care? So this is just one of the many things that this is advantaging the rest of the world, so why would we even pay any attention to it? So it's like
that's tough.
It's one of those things that I think is quite common in the Oceanic region for all of Pokemon Go history, in sort of being sort of ignored in many ways, or neglected. You sort of just get used to it, and it's kind of like it's a bit of an abusive relationship where it's like, it is what it is. Just try not to care too much.
The problem for Go 2 is they don't even have locals.
Yeah.
So like, I think the reason that like TCG has a number is because they have locals there, so they can get points from that, and then like I think those players also potentially travel to like Europe for events more. So like I don't know, maybe if we get locals in those regions, maybe in a future season they'll have a couple spots that can qualify or something. Like we'll have to maybe wait and see, but I think not having locals is a big part of it too.
There's no spots for VGC either, but there are some spots for TCG, which is interesting. Which makes me think that they probably have card shops in those areas too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They have TCG locals, but I think they maybe don't have VG or Go locals.
Yeah.
Which could come down to local laws, because from what I've heard from some professors is that there's certain like countries that can't have locals for Go or VG potentially, because there's like certain like gambling laws that tie into like the video games or whatever that make it so they can't have locals there. It's like from what I've been told from some professors too, it's also like why certain countries can't have regionals and only have special events, because they can't give out cash prizes. So like it's possible that a lot of the like Middle East and Africa region has issues with laws such that they can't roll out locals for Go and VG, and maybe that's why it's only TCG that's having it.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. That's just a guess here, but just from what I've heard from people,
a little bit tougher there.
That's my guess.
So these are roughly the invitations, but we'll talk about some stipulations related to that. So what they have is they have 75 spots allocated for like NA as an example. And this is the top 75 finishers in championship points. So championship points are still here to stay for next season. But instead of saying, oh, once you hit 500, for example, for NA, you qualify for Worlds. It's just, even if you hit 500, if you're not in the top 75 finish in NA, you don't qualify.
Right.
So,
but it's like we don't know, right? It's possible that 75th is at 400 points, but it's possible 75th is at 1,000 points, right? Like
yeah.
So it's like championships points are still here, but it's no longer hitting a threshold.
Yeah.
It's just it's kind of like GBL ELO. You're just trying
it's like the leaderboard, right? Even if you hit something, you might not be on the leaderboard, right? Because you're not in the top 500 or whatever.
Yeah.
So but the stipulation is that if you win a regional, or if you get top 4 at an international, you auto qualify. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's not top 2 at a regional, right? Just top 1.
It's top 1 at a regional,
top 1 regional, and top 4 at international.
They auto qualify, but those people don't count towards the top X spots.
Yes.
So that's where I was a little confused. So does that mean like let's just pick a number, with the number of regionals there are.
Let's say like there's like 7 or something.
Yeah.
For NA,
So let's say there's 7 for NA. So that means that NA would get 7 plus the 75.
Yeah.
Yes. So mostly, but a few things. One, let's say someone from Europe comes over and wins it, then that guaranteed invite doesn't go to NA, right? So they take one of the guaranteed invites for Europe instead. And then the other stipulation, and the Play Pokemon X account actually clarified this when someone asked too, is that if we have repeat winners of regionals or top placements of internationals, top 4 placement internationals, they already auto qualified through like a previous win, it doesn't cascade down.
Right. So like Dune, who won 3 regionals and got second at UIC.
Yeah.
Like those 4 invite slots that he got, like 3 of them kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Or like, for example, Paula won a regional and got top 4 at UIC. So one of those spots would disappear.
Yeah.
Like Rarjeff, Jakobovich, Lyle Jeffs, Colin Six. Like,
do you think that this is them trying to de-incentivize people from doing multiple?
no,
I don't know. I don't necessarily think so, but personally speaking, I actually am more in favor of that because the cascading invites gets like, I'll put it this way, like from season 2, right, of the championship series, when we had like a full season, the cascading invites got really weird where it was like, I think like NEIC, like it cascaded down to like the 7th or 8th place finisher, right?
Eighth,
Yeah,
yeah.
8th,
Everyone
which is,
top 8 got
yeah.
invites.
So like, and like, I think it felt weird because essentially it was easier to qualify for Worlds the later on the season because there's already people that qualified. So even if you didn't place as well, there's a higher chance you get a cascaded invite downward, right? Whereas this format seems like you still have to earn for the guaranteed invites. Of course, like some people might like, stigmatize others for like, winning multiple. But in my opinion, I'm like, hey, if you can't beat them, then you weren't going to beat them at Worlds, right? So like they deserve like winning multiple championships in one season or getting a top 4 is what I see is not easy, right?
Well, and the other thing
the other,
too.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, the other part of that and the reason why I bring it up is just because like while that is true, there still has to be like the skills to do well. A lot of these people that are winning multiple, I mean, it's not like it's really easy for them to do so. It's not like they're just going next door, like it requires a lot of travel, a lot of investment, and so it seems, I don't know, it just seems a little weird that you're like, if you're able to put in all that time and investment, you can potentially be like taking away that opportunity from someone else.
Yeah.
In a way, not directly, but like in a way, it's like
they
you're
definitely
kind of
are.
making that option less available to others.
Hey, they're
by
making
doing
Worlds
so
easier
yourself.
for themselves by having less.
True. One less person they have to face. So, personally speaking, I've shared this sentiment before this year as well. I think it was maybe a little too easy to qualify for Worlds this year, right? Especially depending on some of the regions you're in. I remember like
it's
one of my patrons from Brazil. He didn't qualify for Worlds, but he came really close. And he's like, yeah, honestly, like I'm okay with this new system because like I was about to qualify for Worlds this season and I didn't do well at any of the like big tournaments I went to, which is like some locals I did perform, got points for. He's like, and I don't feel like I deserve to qualify for Worlds, even if I did, right? So
I definitely see that that's true. Like I think the championships point system that they introduced last year, like the way it was set up, definitely was still, again, sort of advantageous for certain regions where they have a lot of card shops accessible that are willing to put in the time and investment into hosting GOAT tournaments, and some communities have a lot of those. I mean, there's a fair amount that happen here in Atlanta, and I just don't get to go to because like work obligations, and traffic and things like travel time and things like that. But certainly it's easier for some people. And there's a lot of people in that position where they got close enough and they're like, not sure that's accurate.
Well, some regions outside of NA too, and EU as well too, you could pretty much qualify off of just locals alone. EU, you could hit pretty much 10 points away from qualifying just off of locals, right? So if you do have a lot of locals,
LATAM and Oceania, you could get the full points from locals.
So
which has its pros and cons for sure. Some people will say it's too easy. These people just qualified from 4-person locals. They didn't have to prove themselves at regionals, which I get that viewpoint. I also think that there is benefits to providing accessibility to players who might not be able to travel to regionals, right? That's sort of why LATAM had a lower CP bar, I think, because travel within LATAM is more challenging, expensive. So it's a fine line, right? Because it's like, if it's harder to qualify for Worlds, we're potentially excluding some very good players who might not have the opportunities. But on the flip side, is it too easy? I don't know. Like, does that matter? Some people seem like purists and they think qualifying for Worlds should be hard, which I think is a valid viewpoint. But at the same time, with more people, I think everyone who deserves to be qualified, for the most part, should be qualified. And does some extra people who aren't quite as good being qualified hurt anyone? Not really. So I think you can look at it both ways.
I mean, as someone who's coming in here, I'm the only one on this podcast who's from a region that you only needed 250 championship points to qualify for Worlds last season. Like, there's a few parts to it. And so one is obviously, as you said, Tristen, there's an accessibility thing. And so trainers from New Zealand in particular, I personally really liked the fact that they could qualify for Worlds just off of locals. Now, 250 is quite low. They had an absolute heckload of regionals. Like, it was sort of insane. Like, they had cup challenge back to back to back to back to back, like every weekend. It was incredible. Like, Yusei Faru literally qualified in the first month of locals. Like,
yeah,
he just
he qualified faster than I did.
It's kind of wacky. But he's good enough to be at Worlds, to be fair. But like, the problem is that they obviously don't get regionals. They need to travel internationally. And it's not like, not saying that this is accessible, but at least if you're in Canada, some Canadians are able to drive across the border as well. If that's it's an alternative route. New Zealand, you've got to get on a plane to get out.
How far is that flight, out of curiosity?
I think cost wise, it's sort of similar going from east coast of Australia to the west coast of Australia, going to Perth.
Really? Oh, that's pretty pricey
to go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
But it's expensive, international travel, visas, yada yada yada, all of that shenanigans. So and of course, in a championship point system, you cross internationally for one regional, you're unlikely to get enough points to qualify just off of that. So you're gonna need other stuff on top of it. But what's essentially happening is that now that the top 10, Oceania has been limited to 10 places from championship points, it is essentially impossible for a New Zealander to qualify just off of locals now. They need to travel to a regional.
Well, especially with the other changes, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah. It's so I also hear the sort of the attitude of it should be hard to qualify for Worlds, and I say fair enough, but I personally feel like it would have made a lot more sense to just raise the championship point bar. Now, obviously, in the current system, TPCI has such a better idea as to how many people are actually going to qualify for Worlds. So, I'm sure that's really nice for them. And also, obviously, this is not a problem for Go, but clearly the other games, they sort of wanted to rein them in somewhat because the numbers were kind of getting insane. So the
TCG numbers were nuts from what I heard.
Yeah. And their rounds go for so long as well. So it's huge tournaments. That's a lot of resources that TPCI has to use to host these tournaments. So I totally get them wanting to bring the number of Worlds competitors down.
Convention centers are only so big, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a limit. Melbourne Convention Center is the biggest one we've got in Australia. And it's if, in this magical world that OCIC existed, if it reached a point that it got so big that it couldn't be contained in that center, what are you going to do? You just have to, there's a people limit somewhere. And so I get it's sort of a 2-for-1 in that you reduce how much TPCI has to handle in terms of a player count, and you also make Worlds harder to qualify for, which plenty of people are happy about. I just think it would make more sense to raise the championship point bar to qualify, which feels to me like you have more levers to make things more accessible sort of across the world. And
so, my thoughts on that is one option, but the problem with that is also if you raise the bar too much, it also becomes inaccessible in the sense that you might have to travel to more tournaments to actually.
You have to in this system anyway.
Potentially. So I'll put it this way. So for obviously NA is kind of in a luckier spot than others where. Other regions where we have 75 spots allocated, whereas the other ones don't. So we'll talk more about this as we get into specific, some data that we have from JJM. But the total amount of NA players that qualify for Worlds this year was 70. So we actually technically will have even more spots, more people qualified than this year, right? With the 500 mark. So obviously if you bump it up to 750 for NA or something, then you actually get less people potentially qualifying next year, right? But of course, for for like EU, I think they have more than 50 people qualifying, so like they're actually losing some spots. LATAM for sure, and Oceania, you're probably going to lose a couple of spots as well. So it kind of like varies here or there. So this is why I think they implemented this with being conscientious of like, yes, you could go to a lot of these tournaments to get championship points, but there's a limit on how many points you can get. So so let me talk about this real quick. So before, for the locals, you have the challenge and a cup. Challenge, you get up to 15 points, and cup, you get up to 50 points if you win those. And you can have 6 of each, right, which would equal 390 championship points. But now they actually reduce it so that you can only have 4. So the best finish limit is 4. So it's not like you only do 4 challenges, so it's your 4 best finishes. So you do more than 4, and most people probably do more than 4 just to try to maximize how many points you get. Yeah. So there's only 4 of each. So what is that? 300 points? No, wait.
No,
260. 260. Yeah. Sorry, I did my math wrong. So 260 points total. But again, at the end of the day, like the actual points you get doesn't matter as much anymore because there's no actually like finishing like championship points limit, right? That you have to hit. You just want to get as much as you can. So there's that, and then for the regional and internationals as well as special events combined, it's 6. So if you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to every regional I can and every international I can, it's still only gonna count the best 6 of those.
Right, because it used to be you used to have 6, your best 6 of regionals and special events, and then you could do all the ICs.
Yeah.
So no one in Go did this, but for VG and TCG, like the top people, were basically counting their 9, right? They're doing their best 6 regionals and 3 ICs is 9. But now it's 6 for regionals and ICs combined. So it's reining that in a little bit as well.
Which, from, again, like if you're like in NA, EU, maybe even LATAM, it's probably better that they have the best finish limit here, so that, again, if you're going for a top whatever placement finish, it stops people from like, going to every single tournament, farming as much points as possible. Like you can only finish so much. But of course, like even best finish limit is 6. Like most people are like, they're not going to win 6 events, right? And if they did, they already qualified anyway. So I guess you could theoretically go to as many as you can to constantly trying to push that best finish limit a little bit higher. Now, the downside of this though is if you're from like Oceania, where you might have lucky if you have 3 regionals, because then like you can't even cap the 6 spots with regionals, right? And obviously international are worth more points. But let's say if you can't go to any internationals, you go to 6 regionals. That's like, oh, okay, like kind of on even ground a little bit with people going to internationals. But you can't even do that if you're in Oceania, assuming if they have 3 regionals again. We don't know the schedule yet. So did they announce any Oceania tournaments?
No. At the moment, we have 0 regionals confirmed.
Okay, well, so there's that too. Yeah.
Right, we can assume they probably have 3 or 4, right? Because you guys had 3 last year and 4 the year before, so it's probably was
including. Like, hey, that's a downward trend. That maybe it's
2. So this is my concern for Oceania.
Wasn't it OCIC and 4 regionals?
No, I think it's 3 plus Oceania. Yeah. But my concern, especially for
didn't they cut Sydney though?
They had a Melbourne regional and they cut Sydney. So Sydney is the biggest. I mean, this is sort of Australian shenanigans, but Sydney is the most expensive place to host a regional, but it's also the one that is going to have the biggest numbers. And so in the 2023 season, Sydney was actually on track to be even bigger than OCIC, but they had to sort of move the date last minute which happens so often in Australia. It's insane. But they moved the date last minute, and so the numbers sort of went down just below OCIC. But we still had 3 total. But anyway,
that being said, so here's the tough part for Oceania in specific, right? Obviously, the other regions have some of this, but not as big. Is that you can't hit that best finish limit of 6 regional special events or internationals combined by just going to your region's events. You have to go outside of that, right? And that's where it gets expensive, because if there's only 10 slots and you're really trying to qualify from Oceania, you get a huge benefit of going to an international or just another regional in general, because that's a tournament slot that other people in the region can't even hit if they don't leave like Australia. And it just if you have 3 regionals in Australia, there just so happens to be 3 internationals that you can attend to all over the world, and those award a lot more points, right? Like you get a guaranteed 120 points if you hit the top 256. So you have to pretty much just and like you win like one series, I think, in the winter side, and you're just good, right? And that's a lot.
It makes
a lot of points.
So much more like that is a little bit pay to win in general, but it turns it up so much higher for the Oceanic region specifically because the number of qualified slots is so low. But also there's like something we haven't actually talked about is travel awards, which also affect Oceania even more than all the other regions as well.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Okay, yeah, so we got travel award now, right? So okay, one other thing before we get to travel awards is so the points are still the same for locals, but this I like is that there's a kicker now for how many points you get. Because before it was like, hey, only got 3 people showing up to the cup, everyone gets points, right? But now there's actually a kicker.
I mean, you had to have 4 to fire, but yeah, it was
4 to fire. Yeah. So at least
top
4,
4 was guaranteed points. So if there was 4 people, all top 4 got points.
Which was
if it was 8 people, top 4 still got points.
Yeah.
But
so now they have a kicker. And there's different kicker stuff. So, for example, if you want points for top 4 at a cup or a challenge, you need at least 4 players now. So let's say if you only have 2 players, let's say if you have only 4 players at a cup or challenge, only the top 2 get points. And if you want more points, then you need at least 8, 17, 33, whatever. So
is top 4 get points at 8 people? Was that the kicker?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
So that's a lot more balanced because before, you could have a 4-person cup or challenge, and someone could go 0-3 and still get like 32 points at a cup or 10 points at a challenge, which was a little OP. Like,
some people are definitely farming some easier locals. I wouldn't even say they're easier. There's no one. I freaking Anna course on, and I was like, there's only 4 people at his tournament. And I was like, did you win it? He's like, no. I was like, oh, what'd you get? Like 4th place and just got some guaranteed points? He's like, yeah, I got 4th. I was like, dude, like that wouldn't happen, for next season, which I do appreciate because it encourages more people to go to these, but also 2, like it makes them feel a little more balanced. Because some people are like, man, my locals, they got like 30 people. Like this is not fair, right? I'm looking at some other local and they got like 4 people and everyone gets points. And I'm working like twice as hard for no points.
Yeah, I think that's a great change because it requires you to perform better.
Yeah.
Right, because if there's 7 or less people, you have to finish top 2 to get points.
And that's important too, because right now, because of how you get invites, unless you win a regional or get top 4 international, you're directly competing with other people. So if you're saying like, man, my local competition is just way harder and I can't get the local points I need, whereas my competition, 2 states over are like just getting free points for just showing up, like it's hard for me to stay, in the race here. So that's one thing to note. And then the points have been adjusted for regionals, which I'm glad for too. Because before it was 200 points, I think, for first place. For a regional. So now it's 350. Second place is 325. Third to fourth is 300, etc. It goes all the way down. And then you actually get a decent amount of, you get points pretty much for Go. You get points for, oh wait, no, there's a kicker. But you, yeah, I think you could still get. No, the kicker does make a difference here for sure. But you could get like 80 points if you have 257 players or more for top 128. So if you get like the first like half, like if you get the top half of a tournament, you get 80 points, which is pretty good, right? That's a decent amount of points. I don't remember what it was this year, but I don't think it was that much. And the internationals, they bumped the points up too.
It was like 40 or 50, I think, maybe.
Yeah. It's just funny when they put like there's actually points for the first place for international and regionals. It's like it doesn't matter because you qualify anyway. You don't need championship.
No,
points.
But it matters.
Oh, for travel awards, right?
Travel awards.
Yeah, true.
For Worlds Travel Awards and IC Travel Awards.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Okay,
and then they bumped up. They bumped up points for ICs as well.
Yeah. So instead of 500 first, it's 750.
So they did bump them up, but the thing is, regionals were bumped up percentage-wise more than ICs were. So even though they both went up, regionals increased by a greater amount. So regionals are a little better in comparison. Yeah, which I think is great because I mean I said this multiple times on the YouTube comments when you guys talked about it before that I felt like regionals just weren't strong enough in comparison to both locals and ICs. It felt like regionals you had to like work really hard to do well, and the point payoff was just not equivalent to ICs or locals. So I think them bumping up regionals is really good.
Yeah, definitely. They bumped up like how many car packs you get, which I didn't really pay attention too much about it, but it's nothing crazy. Our cash price for Go and I think all the other games are exactly the same, so that stays constant. But this is go ahead.
The packs is more people, like lower placements get packs, I believe, which is cool. Like even if it's not a ton, it's like I think that's it's an exciting change, because it's like if you do decently well but not amazingly well, at least you can come away with some packs. Is kind of nice. So I think that's a good change as well.
Yeah. So this is a big change for Go, is that now on top of Travel Award for Worlds, we get Travel Award now for internationals too, for per region, right? Do they say how many Travel Awards are allocated per region?
Yeah, I think. Is it just top 4? Across the board?
Is it just top 4?
I feel like Oceania might be less.
I'm seeing
travel
like
prices.
International Championship travel prize updates, and I'm scrolling over to the right, and it seems to just say 1st to 4th.
Okay.
And then there's priority registration for top 16.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, for Go, yes. Okay, yeah. So 1st through 4, you get a travel award, for Go. I guess for every region, which is, I mean, in some ways that's like not too bad for Oceania, because if you have less players, it's still the same amount of travel award, right? So, so it's not like, oh, like NA gets more travel award because there's more players or whatever, or EU, etc. But that also might be kind of OP too, depending on how you look at it. So travel award is allocated for the ICs now, for the top players with championship points for your region. So let's say NA, for example, the top 4 players leading up to like LAIC will get a travel award.
Right. So it's not the season CP leaderboard though. There's the way it works.
It's just from like September to like November or something.
No,
right?
So it's basically between ICs.
Yeah, between ICs. Yeah.
So the LAIC travel award, I believe, is what's the window? I think it might.
Does it start in July? Because you can technically start getting championship points in July.
Yeah, I've got a challenge this weekend.
It actually.
Yeah, Steve's like, I want to go to Brazil. Screw the whale mark.
I don't know how it works, because I thought that the window potentially ended at the previous IC. Is I think how it's done.
Well, that would make sense too, because there's no tournaments since NAIC anyway until now, right? I know.
I think what he's saying is like the tournament run up to NAIC would give you the travel award to LAIC.
Yeah, so I think it's the points between EUIC and NAIC is the travel award for LAIC. Because it can't be the travel.
Obviously, that's
it can't be.
Last
it can't
season.
be the travel award for NAIC, because that's too late. You can't give someone a travel award like the day before NAIC starts.
Okay, so I'm getting confused because like LIC just starts off the season. So for EUIC, what it is, at least for the other games, from my understanding, and I think they're probably going to implement for next season, is I think the cutoff is actually probably, I think, the last tournament right before like the international. But it's so EUIC's travel award, because it's second, would be LAIC plus all the regionals up to right before it. It's probably the cutoff. So they had to have probably some arbitrary date, because if you have a local that could contribute to it. But so because I remember I asked it, I was like, isn't it kind of OP for like the previous international to contribute to the travel award, because people that went to the international is a huge leg up. I was talking to Gabby Snyder about it like over a year ago, and she was like, yeah, it is, but that's what encourages a lot of players that don't get the travel award for LAIC to even go, so they have a higher chance of getting the travel award for EUIC. And now with also the best finish limits and the top like CP leaderboard stuff. Like there's probably even more incentive to go to internationals even if you don't have a travel award. But based on my understanding of it, that's how she explained to me. It's from the previous international, including that international, to like I guess like I don't know what the end date is. Probably like the most like the last regional date of the right before the international is my guess.
It is a good point though. Like, when do you know you get it? So that like some people might not be able to afford it otherwise, right? So it's sort of like, oh, do I have I have $3,500 here or not?
Right. Yeah. So out of region internationals, you get 3,500 USC, and then for in region you get 2,000, so 2,000. And then you probably get priority registration, but 5th through 16th as well also gets priority registration, but they don't get any travel award.
Right, which is pretty nice too, because that way you don't have to worry about like the IC filling up and you don't get it in time.
Yeah, because this year it might fill up. Like LAIC will be a good test because LAIC is not close to really anything outside of LATAM countries. I think like it's pretty expensive to go to LAIC even from NA, and then EU, Oceania, APAC, everything else seems even like further, right, and more expensive.
Yeah.
So if a lot of people go to LAIC this upcoming year from outside of LATAM, that'll be a big sign and indicator of how many will go for EU.
I've already seen way more people talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, talking about traveling to LAIC specifically. So, yeah, I mean, people are looking at these new requirements and they're already, if you have the means, you're already planning.
I think some people are thinking of going to LAIC anyways because, like, the atmosphere seems really cool. And so like a lot of people after seeing LAIC last year were like, man, I want to go next year. So I think a lot of people are talking about it and thinking about it anyways, and then seeing the new system,
they're like, I need to go this year. Like, I don't just want to go, I need to go if I want to qualify for Worlds. I know East mentioned that he wanted to go to more internationals, so
I mean, I'm a little nervous about the player rego. Like, I'm kind of like, obviously especially when you're traveling as far as like Australia to, LAIC, there's not that many planes to get. And so travel's quite expensive and you sort of want to get in earlier rather than later so that, I mean, one, you have a seat on the plane, but also that it's cheaper. And so I'm a little nervous that like, oh, what if I sort of, say I book this trip to LAIC and then it's like, oh, I didn't get in the player rego. Then it's like, well, what is this all about? So I haven't had to wrestle with that before because all of us Australian.
If you're top 16 on the Aussie leaderboard, you get priority registration, right?
Easy.
Oh yeah, actually good point. So maybe I just really have to
so you just got if you stay in the top 16 again, you have to remember it's not the season leaderboards, guys. It's during those windows. So like that's the thing is people might be doing even after people max on their local points, they might keep doing locals because even if you have 4 first place cups and 4 first place finishes for the season, if those cups and challenges were all points in like the window for the LAIC travel award, you might want to do more locals to try to get the EUIC travel award and then do more locals again to get the NAIC travel.
Oh, here's what actually makes it even worse for the Oceanic region in particular is that assume that we have 3 regionals. So let's just run under that assumption, which, we don't know. They're going to be so sparsed out that it's actually entirely possible. And this is the case for like last season. Like we might not have a regional before LAIC, which might mean that like even if it's not LAIC, maybe it's for NAIC, we'll have potentially no regional in the qualifying window, which means it'll be all locals, which would mean that trainers who have like a high local zone, like again, Debbie Pebble has been killing it over in Perth. They have so many locals over there compared to the rest of the country combined. Like, you're sort of at a serious advantage to racking up those points.
Yeah, because I remember the last season, the way they were spaced out, I think it was like between the ICs, like one window there was 1 regional, another window there was 2, and the other window there was none.
0.
Like they weren't 1, 1, and 1. so the way it was spaced out was more uneven.
Yeah. Well, Australia is like
Oceania
entirely
is going to be really hotly contested.
So what you have to do is you have to travel for an out of region regional. You have to travel to an out of region regional to get regional points to get the IC travel award.
This man's definitely benching Wilmer if he's doing all this. Like, I already know. There's no way we're going to see no Wilmer Buzzwell comp.
Yeah. I mean, here's the other thing that sort of rubs me the wrong way about this system is that, as I sort of said on the podcast when I was on last time, I sort of wanted to qualify this season. But when the Oceanic region only has, call it max 13 slots, because, we've got 3 regionals maybe, and then 10 CP spots. And this is all assuming that, Yakko doesn't win 2 regionals and reduce one of our spots again. I don't love the vibe of stealing someone else's invite, because I know that there's 13 trainers in Australia who are better than me that sort of deserve to be at Worlds more than I do. And so if I sort of go around internationally and I just pick up a bunch of points, I feel like I've just bought this invite. I don't feel like I deserve.
You still got to perform.
You still have to perform well enough.
You got to tell your top 4 Aussies that get the travel award to ICs that they have to finish top 4 in the IC, so they steal an invite slot.
True. That's right. Yeah, to really represent your region and also be a homie, you just get top 4 at the ICs you go to, then you're not taking up a spot, and you're stealing a spot for your home region as well. So it's a win-win situation. So the pressure's really on now, right?
No, again,
it's either that or like you face someone like Caleb Peng round 1 at an IC and you just top left for him. Be like, I'm trying to be nice to my fellow Australian, so you can take this one. I'm like, oh, thank God, this is my first win in a while at an IC. But
Caleb would rather play Steve than me, let's say.
Well, now that we know what everyone's ELO is,
you watch out my
rank. I just meant I beat him at the last two
be a team player.
Tournaments.
Yeah. Well, that too. So one cool clarification as well is that right now, if you're in APAC and you have to play the APAC qualifiers and all that stuff, you kind of have to qualify through your home region, right? However, now, apparently, if you fly over to a regional or international, you get that first place or top 4 at an IC, you could auto qualify for Worlds from APAC at a TPCI regional or international, which is pretty nice. So I know like Steve's worried about the Aussies and like stealing each other's spots, but now he's got to worry about like the foreign invaders from APAC that might fly over to Australia and try to take that first place finish and steal a spot completely off the Aussies. So
DFH is coming for you, Perth.
Perth is the one that's really gonna have to worry. That's potentially the most accessible for a lot of Asian countries.
Is it also closer to Asia as well, like location-wise?
It's the smallest too, right?
Not really. It's sort of just like there's much more. I think this is wrong. I think there's potentially some quite cheap flights from India to Perth. There's a lot of sort of it's either sort of direct to Sydney or direct to Perth.
A lot of good Indian players too.
Yeah.
I mean,
speaking of Indian players, I just saw they're doing like a GoFundMe to send Nava Empire to Worlds, so Anacor better be the top donator.
Oh, I thought the same thing when I saw that. I was like, if Anacor's not the top donor, he's just pretending like he didn't see this tweet, because there's no way.
He better be making multiple donations to send this guy Nava Empire to Worlds.
Yeah, he better max out those GoFundMe. Now that he had that, doesn't have to pay that $500 fee or whatever on Airbnb, he should have, that spare change for Nava Empire. But yeah, and then we have a bunch of actual regionals and special events, dates and locations handed out, as well as the international schedule, which I appreciate, because technically speaking, you could start booking your flights and hotels now, right? And there's no cheaper time than now. Assuming you get the invitation, definitely get a refundable ticket / hotel if you can, or Airbnb if you can. But there's a bunch. Obviously, first one starts off in Baltimore on the 13th of September. And then, of course, there's one followed up in Dortmund, Germany. And there's one in Germany and in Brazil at the same weekend, and then it goes down from there. None from Oceania as of now, but I'm sure hopefully we'll get something. But for Latin America, we have we have in Brazil, and it's going to be November 15th to the 17th. It's going to be at the same exact venue as the past 2 years. So for anyone that's curious, it's definitely the same spots. Speaking of same spots, it's going to be XL Center in London yet again for the EUIC. Which I know that place off like the back of my hand. It's I'm very familiar with it. And then at NAIC, they announced this earlier, but it'll be back in New Orleans. I believe at the same convention center as well.
I don't know where else it would be in New Orleans, to be honest, but I don't know New Orleans super
that's
well.
fair.
There's only so many places not.
Yeah, that's a good point. Honestly, all three of those locations are nice though, and they get the job done. So I'm okay with doing it in a place that a lot of players are familiar with and TPCI is familiar with, rather than just hosting in a new city just to host it.
Something interesting I noticed is there, I believe there's an Argentinian regional like the week before LAIC.
Oh,
so that's
interesting.
Kind of interesting because I don't know if we've ever had a regional in the same region as an IC like the week before or after.
Well, there wasn't even a single regional or event in November before LAIC last year, so this would be, and there's two now.
I think there was one.
Was there?
I think
this year?
Brisbane may have been in November.
Right. Brisbane. Yeah.
You know.
Sorry. I tend to, like the rest of the world, we tend to forget the Aussies. But yeah, out of the other regions, yeah, there were. So there's one
strange regional.
Yeah, there's one in Poland this year on the first weekend in November, and then the following weekend we have one in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And then hey, maybe there's be a Brisbane or Aussie one somewhere around that time period too. But that's all really important for that travel award. So there's a chance you might not know the travel award details until the 11th or 10th or whatever. But
I think it's earlier than that. I think I remember seeing like last year on Twitter like VG and TCG players posting in June or July that they had like gotten the travel award for LAIC.
Yeah. Out of question for you all, are you all a fan of the travel award for ICs? Obviously it gives more accessibility, but there's also a little bit like the rich gets richer feeling around it, right? Like if you win the first regional of the season, you're probably going to get that travel award for LAIC too.
I mean it has pros and cons, so I don't know, pretty neutral, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is sort of the Oceanic region strikes again, but because we don't have that many regionals, it's going to be sort of insane rich get richer vibes where like that top four on the leaderboard are just going to be absolutely steamrolling. Because as Tristen said, ICs, they then probably qualify for the next IC. And so these 4 Australians who get travel award to the other side of the world, they sort of get to go over, try and get some points, and they'll already be like potentially uncatchable going into the next IC travel award, unless you go to, multiple out of country regionals. So it's sort of like I really like the fact that a travel award exists, in that I love the idea that, 4 Australians are going to get a travel award to go to these ICs. Like,
hey,
in my head, that
it could be a New Zealander instead, right? It might not be Australian.
Yeah, I mean, if they've got to do international travel if they want to, but Oceanic battlers. Like, I'm glad that 4 people are going to head over.
If you say like racks up enough logo points during the window where there's no Aussie regional,
that's true.
That's true. That Shadow Mewtwo, man.
And then his IC his IC points could be enough to get him in contention for the next one.
Unless, it's sort of unless he misses the first one, because then if 4 Aussies get the first one, there's an Australian regional, then they get in that loop where they just get infinite point cycle. So it's
I do think that's definitely a drawback, and is also more of a drawback considering that Worlds Qualification is top X and not just points.
Yeah.
But overall, I do really like it. It gives us parity with the other games. And like at NEIC, I was thinking like, oh, this is really cool, because like at NEIC we had like, I think once or twice, like a European and Latium trainer facing off at NEIC. I was like, this is really cool. Like normally we would only see this at Worlds. So the fact that like we'll be, not that it's a ton of players, but we'll be getting in theory the top 4 players from each region attending each IC I think is really cool to make it, to have that variety. And we'll see, we'll get to hopefully see some of the Aussie trainers on an official broadcast outside of Worlds. We'll get to see more of
It's
the
definitely
Latino
good for
players.
visibility, for
We'll
sure.
get to see, you know what I mean? And it's like, you also want to see, like, the viewers, like, now get a better opportunity of seeing some of these top players, right? Getting to see Jakobrovic and Steiner and Rarjev competing at multiple ICs potentially, I think is really cool from a viewer perspective, seeing these top players compete and have those opportunities.
I will say there's one thing that might make C feel a little better about the situation is, and it does, like, the rich gets richer for sure, but it's actually not too bad in the sense that, especially because there's not a ton of regionals in between the ICs, especially for Oceania, there might be just one in between. The winner of that regional of that time period is probably going to be one of the people in the top 4 that gets a travel award. But that winner, theoretically, or no, not theoretically, definitely already has qualified for Worlds. So it doesn't matter how many points they get at LAIC, UIC, NAIC. It don't matter because their invites already locked in, right? So if anything, like, they're just getting more points for, just future travel awards. They're just racking up points for future travel awards, but they get qualified, right? So they're living the good life, I guess.
But it doesn't actually hurt Oceania, that particular battle, I guess. Obviously,
as much.
It doesn't give a travel award to someone else, but fair
but
enough.
like the 2 through 4 spots will probably hurt a little bit more for the rest for the race, but yeah. So that is
well. And again, the thing is, like, obviously, it's a big time and money commitment, and I don't want to downplay that, because traveling for anyone to any of these ICs is a pretty big time and money commitment, but especially obviously for, like, the Aussies and Kiwis going to ICs is pretty substantial. But like Caleb was saying, like, that Gabby said, like, if this does encourage other players to still attend the ICs, then maybe the travel award isn't a cascading thing. If other players are also traveling, then it's not as much of a snowball effect potentially. And then maybe we're also getting to see more Aussies and Kiwis at ICs. So
here's my question. EUIC, NAIC, did they play a cap?
EUIC, yes. NAIC,
we don't know, think so. But probably not.
Well, there were a bunch of, like, no shows and, like, people that bought tickets for spectator stuff.
Were there open player, like, could you pay to be a player by the end of it? Like, was it bought out?
I think NAIC you probably were able to. EUIC you legit couldn't buy anymore after the first after the first few minutes of both registrations. NAIC had open slots for months, for weeks afterward.
Yeah, I didn't
like,
check.
even the day before, like, there might have still been spots, but I don't know.
Yeah. And LAIC, I think maybe it capped, but
LAIC sold out. LAIC capped, but there were a bunch of no shows. So
they also had a lower cap.
Round binds.
They also had a lower cap.
Did they? I thought it was 250. It was still 256.
Yeah,
it's lower. Yeah, because EUIC is like 300 something, right? Or
and so is NAIC, because both NAIC and EUIC hit the 256 kicker.
Right. Yeah, which is better, because if you cap at 256 and there's anyone that doesn't show up, then you don't get that 256 kicker. Yeah, or 257 kicker or whatever. I don't even know what it is.
I mean, here's my concern as a result of that. Like, if EUIC is capping anyway, and we're now encouraging people to go to ICs.
It's going to be it's good. Well, LAIC as well, right? Cap. So I think they have to raise the limits for Go, but we'll see. I think LAIC will be a big, like, litmus test.
Hopefully, they're raising the caps. I mean, it's hard to say, because obviously there's factors like space, phones, internet bandwidth that are factors as well, and, like, staff numbers. Like, obviously those all play into the caps, but hopefully they will be expecting bigger demand for ICs and hopefully expand those caps. But I guess we'll have to see.
We'll see on that. Yeah. But those are the big changes. I know Jaden created kind of like a table, but let's table that for next week because we're running pretty long here. There were some tweets around this though, where I know Dancing Rob tweeted, but he said, not sure if I like these changes. Go locals were just starting to grow, and it's tough in this aspect. Difference in CP gains for top cut versus barely not top cut are huge. And the total qualified from EU being way lower than NA is disappointing too, also compared to last year. And Leandro, also another judge from EU, also tweeted exactly 67 European players and 67 North American players qualify for Worlds this year. Why does Europe only get 50, but NA gets 75 qualification spots? The difference of 25 seems too much to me, but that's just my personal opinion. And then also someone from Latam said, we went from 66 qualified for Worlds this year to 50 next year. So Latam and EU compared to this year will definitely be sending less players for sure. But yeah, what are your all thoughts on this one? Oh, do you have the data for Oceania, Steve, out of curiosity?
Yeah, we had 15 qualify, and so assume 3 regionals, 3 unique winners. We have 13 in the new season.
Okay,
so but we also have Yakko.
You never know. Yeah, and these APAC players that might be coming in.
Yeah.
So,
if you win 3, if Yakko were to win all 3 regionals, I think that cuts down the amount of Oceanic players by like 15-20%.
Wait, how many of the Oceania players that qualified are from New Zealand, out of curiosity?
3.
Because I assume
we have 12 Australia, 3. Oh no, it's 4 New Zealand. There was one guy that came in. So 11 Australia, 4 New Zealand.
Okay. And the New Zealanders all qualified just from locals, right? They didn't go to any regionals.
Yeah. Correct.
So I guess from an Aussie standpoint, you all might not be losing anyone, but it's probably a bigger hit to New Zealanders, right?
Oh, a huge hit to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Talk about forgotten people. Even like with Pokemon Go events, like even when there was sort of sympathy for us early in the world, folks, most people were like, oh, I feel so bad for the Australians. Most people weren't saying New Zealand.
Yeah.
They're the ones.
I think it's just because New Zealand had no New Zealanders went to Worlds or even competed at Aussie regionals before, so they weren't really on people's.
There were some at regionals in like the 2022 season, but no one was at Worlds because it's so hard for them to qualify. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Top 2 spots. I guess it makes sense this year. Like, why would you go to a regional in Australia and fly like internationally when you could just qualify off with some locals, right? Like, just save yourself some money for that. So might as well, right? But we'll see maybe how they do at Worlds this year. Maybe we'll put some names to the face a little bit. But
seemed weird to me that NA and like North America gets the 75, like more so than anybody else. It's like,
yeah, for VGC, I think NA gets 75 or EU gets 75 as well, but for Go, it's actually 50. So that's got to be particularly
I got
infuriating.
some numbers on this.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so I looked at the leaderboards for each region. And the total number of players on the leaderboard, NA had 2,360 players on the leaderboard. EU had 642. Latam had 720. And Oceania had 99. So, granted, a lot of the people on the NA leaderboard were like 10 points, 20 points, 15 points, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But still, the total number of players that are playing in NA was like, I think more than all the other regions combined.
Yeah. Okay, I got a question for you. If you could look this up real quickly. What does it look like for VGC/TCG, NA to EU, etc.? Total numbers. I don't know if you could pull that up quickly or not. Because for VGC, it's 75 NA and EU, 50 LATAM, 10 Oceania. So the rest are the same. Whereas for TCG, it's 125 for NA and EU, and then 100 for LATAM, 20 for Oceania, and 10 for Middle East, South Africa. So essentially, TCG and VGC, they have the same exact amount for EU and NA. But I'm curious if do they have like similar numbers of EU and NA players?
Let's see. So VG NA had 5,100 or so.
Okay.
And
good
then
chunk. I think you just compare EU with NA, it should be enough.
and EU had 5,160.
Oh, so like they're very similar.
Yeah.
Oh, what
Although,
about
throwing out
TCG?
there
Yeah.
is also the split Masters, Seniors, Juniors. But like, I mean,
Right, I was
it's
looking
the
at
same
Masters.
vibe. Yeah, I mean, may as well. They're probably comparable.
Yeah. But for the for the juniors and seniors for both VGC and TCG, it's also the same for EU and NA too. So
Yeah.
proportionally speaking, they're
Okay, so TCG and EU had like 27,000,
Uh-huh.
and NA had 76,000.
Oh wow, that's quite a
Whoa.
big difference.
But I feel like at that point it's just like a ton of people.
Yeah. Like
They just
125 out of
listen.
that is like so not a lot of people for like honestly for TCG and VGC, I feel for them because they have way more players than us, and their invites proportionally is
Yeah.
way less, right?
Oh, for sure.
Percentage wise, but again, like I've always been of the mindset that I think that's how it should be. Like it shouldn't be easy to qualify. There's other esports where they have millions of people playing the game, and the amount of people that go to Worlds is like less than us, you know. So like it's just not feasible for people to go to Worlds. Like it's just like not a thing that people aim for because they know how hard it is. But again, doesn't mean they stop playing the game. They'll just still play like the in-game ladder or go to other tournaments.
And I just
want
to add, like, I looked at like CP points like across multiple thresholds because I was like, and I had a ton of people at like 8, 10, 15 points.
Yeah.
But it's like if you look at the number of players over 100 points, like NA had 293 people with 100 or more points. Versus EU is 179, LATAM was 176.
Okay, but
And
they also have like less opportunity to get points, which is the reason why the bar for qualification is lower. So I'm not sure if that's a fair comparison.
But I think on the flip side of that,
if you
I'm saying if you look at necessarily a comparison,
the overall leaderboard is significantly more.
Yeah. That's
each
huge.
metric. Because I looked at 100 points, 200 plus, 300 plus, 400 plus, 500 plus. At every one of those metrics, NA was a good amount above as well. Like I was looking at that just because, again, NA had a lot of people that were like 10 or 20 points. So I didn't want it to be like, oh, well, NA just has a bunch of people that show up to one level and that's it. So, but like, I think between the two, like if you just look at the numbers across the board, like NA does have a bigger player base of total players as well as players that are hitting different point marks. So I think that obviously I have an NA bias, but I think looking at the numbers, it's not unreasonable for NA to have more slots than the other regions. Now, if
Honestly,
you want to talk about it being unfortunate that the other regions had their invites cut, that's another story. Like, would it have been more fair to give EU and LATAM like 60 or 65 invites and give NA like 80 invites? Like, sure, that could have been an option. But I think that looking at the numbers, it's not unreasonable for NA to have gotten more invites.
Well, also the other part is there's more tournaments for NA, but the qualification mark is higher too, right? By 100 points and more so compared to LATAM. So that could equalize it a little bit, but also what I was thinking for EU, why they have so many qualified as well, is because I feel like if you're in EU and you really want to qualify, it's much easier to because travel's a little bit cheaper, so you can actually go to more regional. I mean, we see it too, right? The participation in the regionals are really high, and compared to how many people that are actually playing competitively, their percentage is definitely higher for participation. I didn't even realize the discrepancy was that big NA to EU. And similar for LATAM too. Like it's like kind of like now that I think about it, it's kind of hard to compare. Like this year we have this many qualified, but next year we have less spots. Like like LATAM EU players and maybe some other regions are saying that. But at the same time, like if your qualification threshold is also lower, then theoretically it is easier to qualify. So your numbers might be a little bit more inflated from just like maybe attending locals and stuff in general. Whereas you can't qualify off of locals in NA. But of course, not every LATAM country or region like our area has a bunch of locals. Same thing for EU. So like, I'm definitely oversimplifying some of it. I would be okay if like EU LATAM and NA all got 75. Maybe bump up Oceania a little bit too, right?
75.
Oh. 75, yeah. Yeah. That's
I'm moving to Australia then. All I have to do is like
we're gonna up the Bastion rate at Worlds by 10% just by that alone. But that does make me feel a little better about how they broke it down.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm sure EU players and Latin players are not happy about it still. And I mean, I get the frustration, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be if I lived there.
Yeah.
It just seems like such a disparity. Even knowing, that they probably were, as Tristen pointed out, looking at leaderboard specifically and participation, in that system. I don't think it would be unreasonable. Like, okay, if you think there's just more participation in NA and you're going to give them 75, then yeah, maybe LATAM and EU get 60 or 65 or something. And then Oceania, yeah, I think should get more as well, because even though the bar is already lower, you're still I feel like neglecting a whole region of people that probably do want to participate more than they feel they're able to.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that if I was calling the shots, I would have given more slots to each region. Maybe again Oceania at 15 or something, LATAM and EU at maybe you put those at 65 and NA at 70 or at 80 or something. But for whatever reason, they clearly wanted to limit it to some certain number. So again, I totally understand the frustration of these regions for having their invites reduced, right? I think every region besides NA basically had their invites reduced by at least a little bit. So I understand that frustration. But again, if you're comparing why does NA get more, I think that's justifiable. And was it Leander's tweet you said was well, NA and EU had the same number of people qualified, but they had different qualification requirements. If EU had their bar bumped up to 500, which I think if you were doing a CP, not top X, but if you're doing CP bars, I think you would see the EU bar get increased next season.
Yeah, but there was a reason that the bars were different. It was to do with how easy it is to qualify and such. So how many opportunities they have. So it's not the point bar was lower, so it was easier, which is true. But it was, it wasn't based on nothing.
I get that. Yeah, there's less regionals. We also NA had locals before any of the other regions, right? It went NA, EU, and stuff. I will say, I think one of the factors I'm really curious about, and there's no way we could really test this in the future, at least the near future, but for this season, is if they actually had a cap on how many points you get from locals based on region. I'm curious how that would change the numbers. Because again, for EU, you're 10 points away from qualifying for Worlds if you max out your locals, right? For LATAM and Oceania, you could just qualify straight off of locals alone, whereas NA, you still have to get 110 points, which is not the easiest to scrounge up, right? But also getting 390 is also not the easiest as well from locals. So I do wonder if there would be less that qualify for EU and LATAM if not even just bumping up their championship points requirement, but maybe just reducing the amount of max points you get from locals to adjust it for that proportionality compared to NA as well. But no way we can test that because the system's different next year, and love it or hate it, it's going to be how it is. And I don't know, I'm kind of excited for it. I think it's personally speaking, I think some of the excitement was gone when they changed it to championship points this year, because some people are I'm already qualified, I'm good to go, right? Whereas last year, going to NAIC, there were a bunch of people that did, there was 4 additional people that didn't qualify, right? So they're people were oh, I won't know until NAIC if I qualify or not. I was that's how it was last year for NA, right? For some of these players, they really didn't know based until their performance at NAIC if they're actually going to go Japan or not.
True.
So
I think there's definitely some good changes in there. I like the restructuring of the points, because again, I think regionals were undervalued and locals were too OP. So I think that readjusting of points is good. I think the IC Travel Awards, while there are a few unfortunate drawbacks, I think overall are a very positive change. But I do have I do think that maybe having Worlds be a little harder to qualify for isn't a bad thing. And I can understand why TPCI would want to have a fixed number of invites so they can plan ahead and not have a mystery and all of a sudden there's loads of people showing up for TCG.
Yeah. They're not going to know how many people qualify until NAIC.
But like, I don't totally love the top X for a couple of reasons. One is the uncertainty of not knowing if you're qualified until after NAIC. Like booking that travel potentially last minute is kind of rough.
It's a little still pay to win too for the internationals.
But. Yeah, it can be a little pay to win as well. And the other thing that we haven't talked about is I feel like it potentially makes a more like hostile environment because like right now, like anyone that does well, like even your locals, like if they do well, they win a cup or they qualify for Worlds, you're happy for them. They're like, cool, great job. But now it's like, well, if my local won the cup instead of me, now they're ahead of me for those last spots to qualify for Worlds. Like it just makes things from people being more supportive and collaborative to potentially more hostile. And now you're suddenly rooting against your locals or your friends or something because you're in contention with them for those last slots to qualify for Worlds.
Yeah. Like, to give a direct example, again, Oceanic region, like when we had a couple of Aussies over in like Bologna, like Fish and a Heater and Gone 1001, were over there. Sorry, Mikey Morgs.
Yeah, Gone was at UIC.
Yeah, Gone was at EUIC. Like as an Australian, like you're cheering these guys on. Like, you know, there's like, we want them to succeed. We want them to get points, yada, yada, yada. But like, if I'm on the leaderboard, I don't want these guys to get points. I'm
you want them to go
these guys to fail.
Look,
it's like,
you know, I know this seems like a new thing, but at UIC, I had a couple Europeans whisper to me on day 1 and day 2 and stuff. They're like, "Hey, like I need you to do as well as you can." You know, I'm not going to publicly say it, but I'm going to tell you this. I was like, why does it matter? Like, why are you rooting against your countrymen or whatever, or your region folks? And they're like, oh, because I'm going for that travel award. So like and there's a lot of championship points at this IC. So if you do well, that's going to stop some of these other people that are already high up on the leaderboard for travel award for Worlds go down a peg. So there's a little bit some of that already, which
I mean a little bit, but not as drastic and not widespread, right? And not as widespread.
Is it bad that I actually think that makes the competition more exciting? Like I know you're saying like, well, this is my hesitation or it might be toxic. I'm just like, I mean, that sounds kind of exciting though. Like,
I mean, the 2024
more
season was the season
though.
of
We've seen you play Among Us.
yeah.
2025, it's all cutthroat, baby.
Yeah. Well, especially for the other regions. NA, it seems like right now we're chilling because everyone that's qualified already hasn't even hit the total mark yet. So maybe I get some additional.
I'm just waiting for people to start showing up for cups and challenges even after they're maxed on local points just to deny other people the finishes.
Well, not even that, and go for that travel award, right? But
right, but I'm saying even if you're maxed on it for the travel award, like still showing up, like
I'm not gonna lie, I probably will. but okay, I'll put it this way. I think if I cap in like a specific range between the ICs, I won't go, right? Like if I've already I mean winning. What was it?
4 cups and 4 challenges.
4 challenges and 4 cups. That's actually a lot to do in one period. So I might not even cap. But if I do cap there, and there's still like a month or two to go before the next like IC like championship points earning period, I'll just skip on those, right? But I'm definitely showing up even if I cap after the first third just to try to get some championship points. But it's also, good practice too. The locals are really good practice, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's like. And like I even like try to do the Friday challenges at regionals because I think that's really good practice too. Like to test out your team, get a sense of what other people are running.
Yeah.
And then like either if you like the way your team's playing, stick with it, or if not, adjust. And like maybe you even face someone else and you like their team and you can copy it or modify it too. Like I think that those challenges the Friday of are really good practice, and just locals in general are really good practice.
Yeah, definitely.
But I do like that they dropped the best finish limits to 4, not just from a point standpoint, but also just from a time standpoint.
Yeah.
Because trying to like max your points for 6 and 6 is a pretty big time commitment.
Yeah,
so
I didn't even max
it
it
out
out this
year.
year. Yeah.
So dropping it to 4 and 4 is like a little more like reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we went on for a little bit on this one, but I think we covered most of it. Definitely let us know your thoughts. I'm curious what other people think. I've heard some thoughts already and seeing on X, but we'll do a more in-depth breakdown of what it looked like compared to this year's qualifiers. Just briefly to the YouTube comments real quick. I missed one from last week from RC Cola. He said, "Can't speak for regionals. I'm not in NA, but any one of them I'm at, there's always going to be a big social planned by yours truly. So let's get the record straight." Delian always killing it as well over in EU, but yeah, probably not going to Worlds. So someone's going to have to carry the torch for NA. Also talked to Mipi from SC Swablues. He's from Hawaii and he will know good spots. Yeah, Mipi Chu. Actually, one of my spectator tickets I'm just going to give to him as well. So maybe he can host some parties and events at Worlds, because yeah, NA's usually not the best at hosting that, and Anacor doesn't seem like he
we just need to get a Delian and RC to go to Worlds so they can plan all our
I don't think either of them are going, but Anacor's going, so he can host another World Social. You know, I don't think he wants to, but like, hey man, you got more time now. Now you're not doing the podcast. Yeah.
The torch has to fall to someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's not doing the podcast, and he's not spending hours a day putting on a clown suit. So.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not playing GBL anyway. So like, what is he doing? That's what I wonder what this guy's doing 24/7. But okay. And then from comments from last episode to kind of the farewell episode for Anacor, Chad says, "Bruv, don't let the door hit you on the way out." In it. Ma David says, "Dang, sorry to see you go, Anacor. I guess I should have asked earlier when Dracovis player profiles for GBL season 17 and 18 are going to be updated." Yeah, this he's avoiding all the heat now from all the questions from people. Greasy Cuisine says, "Nar, Anacor Goku will forever be missed, my brother. You two had such a great dynamic. I really enjoy listening to both of you, and your back and forth banter was amazing. Keep up the great work with Dracoviz, and I hope you prosper in your next adventure." And then RC Cole says, "Anacor, Goku, it's been real. Best of luck in your next adventure. We will be in touch. Also, I must have commented too late. Y'all missed my comment from last week. No, I got you. See, I'm on top of it.
It
RC.
all comes full circle.
It does, yeah. T Hub says, "Is the Battlecast co-host position cursed like Defense Against the Dark Arts job in Harry Potter? Like the person can't hold that position for longer than a certain amount of time?" We'll see.
Yeah,
well, I brought on 3 this time, so
we'll see who falls first.
We got assistant professors now too.
Just
in
like
the Dark Arts.
Against the Dark Arts, I think the co-host lasts about a year.
Yeah, exactly. Bishazan says, "Oh man, what a bummer! Anacor leaving. Coriander will be missed for sure, but excited for the new pod format with more co-hosts. My guesses are Rise and Sove as the new 2. 0 for 2 on those guesses, but maybe.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all good. We'll see what Bish Lasagna says next week. Yeah. Wish Anacor the best in his future endeavors, and I'll be here for 100 plus more episodes. Oh, for sure. Fish on here says Caleb's co-host. Dude, this is funny because it's like the same comment. Caleb's co-host spot is starting to look like the cursed Defense the Dark Arts gig. I'm guessing by the 6th co-host, we'll find out if it was cursed by PokeAK after he was turned down for the role.
Oh my god, I encountered someone in GBL the other day whose username was Protect AK, and I was like,
really?
Oh,
I saw on X earlier today there was an Emmy Weedle imposter. Because Emmy Weedle's already like hit legend or high on the leaderboard, but this person was ranked 20 and Penchu was facing them. And it was also Emmy Weedle that apparently didn't know like their typing or something. Like they were throwing like, I don't know, something on Gudra.
But like it's a capital I instead of an L or something.
I think so. But I looked at the username, it looked exactly the same. I think the Weedle was like the W and Weedle was lowercase. Because Emmy Weedle is it all uppercase? Or the M E and W?
MEW.
I think it's just M and E. I think the W is lowercase.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're a true imposter.
Because I think I typed it wrong for like the first like 2 years, and then I found out that like, oh, the W is actually low.
Okay. Well, anyway, I couldn't tell the difference. So I think, I think it's oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, the W is lowercase, so it looks exactly the same, but the I the L must be an I or something, which is hilarious. I wish I thought of that. But then I'd be multi-county and TOS. Yeah, and then I say, don't come for me. I'm just making a joke. Anyway,
Have to set up my Caleb Peng account with the I instead of the L.
This has been a joke.
True. Oh gosh, I need.
He's about to be running around in rank 17 soon.
I'm gonna make that Caleb Peng alt now.
I'm about to do it right after this. Just kidding. Anyway, that does for us. So thank you all for being part of the
Wait, I got it. I'm gonna make that Caleb Peng alt, and then I'll use that for his ELO for the duo challenge.
No, don't be doing that. I'm gonna report you to Niantic, and we're gonna cycle through the Defense of Dark Arts teachers pretty quick here. Anyway,
Caleb's only at 1500 ELO.
Look, I ain't gonna fall for those shenanigans. I need Steve to actually start getting his elo too. Though. There's no need for you to make an alt account for me when this guy's still ranked 17. Like, what does that even equate to? Like 0 elo? Like, I don't even know.
17 points.
Yeah, I got my work cut out for me, man. Who knew? Who knew?
Better hit
Caleb's gonna have
buddy.
to end the season #1 on the GBL leaderboard just to
dude, and I still might take the loss. I still might be eating jelly beans. That's gonna be how it's gonna go. But yeah, I like the idea. So we'll
wait, and we want August 1st, or do we want like the end
August
of the season?
1st. I think August 1st would be good because then because like end of season, like there's just so much stuff going on with Worlds and everything. I think we just knock it out. Because end of season is also like so far down the road that like. Also, I just don't want to be grinding for the whole season. I just want to grind like this season, Like, you all really want to be worried about like this GBL bet during the middle of Worlds? Like, I know I'm not going to be playing, so.
Exactly.
Just telling you, Caleb. I'm going to be overseas for about a week and a half of this month, so we'll see how dedicated we go.
Look, I mean, as long as you bring your phone, right? You definitely bring your phone overseas. So if you got your phone, you could GBL, right? GBL on the toilet if you need to, right? But as long as you're staying regular, we'll be okay. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. We'll catch you all next week, but these are our new co-hosts, so glad to have you all on, and hope everyone appreciates this as well, too. All right, catch you all later. Peace.
Later.
Bye.